Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 372. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined alongside Johnny V.
How was your USDGC experience? How was it being on site, real quickly?
It was great. It was, obviously, there's a special everything in the air when you're there. The players love it. The media, the excitement, everything is certainly... It's very cool to be there, and super glad to be part of it. And then having Throw Pink develop into what it has now in these last couple of years.
And it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's been great. So very, very cool atmosphere and a great place to be, and a great way to start kind of closing out our season. But maybe someone who doesn't want to close out the season, someone who's going to, when she does simmer down finally, she's going to go out with a bang. We're going to welcome in our Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship winner, Missy Gannon.
Hello.
Hey, Missy.
Hi.
How are you?
I mean, I'm fantastic.
Are you still basking in your glorious win? Do you still... Now, for Throw Pink... I guess I don't even know. Do you guys get a ring as well? That USDGC, the winners get a ring, or do you guys get something different, something unique?
Not that I'm aware of. We did all get, a really cool sort of custom glass blown trophy. But I think everybody got that, even on the men's side. So I'm not aware of a ring or anything, but it's okay. I don't need it.
A slightly different color scheme, yes. Yours were like more of a pastelish blue and pink, as you just showed. Those, I believe, are made by Mace Man, and then the ones last year and this year, sorry, are a little bit darker blue and almost a reddish, a red, kind of not quite orange, but almost more of a reddish.
Yeah, kind of like USA colors.
Yeah,
scheme.
very, very beautiful. Now here, as you showed us that, it immediately makes me worry, like, you're traveling around in a camper and
with a vase.
Yeah, like how will that get displayed and or packed away and stored?
Yeah, it's gonna need to be packed away. I have the Des Moines trophy, as you can see. I'm able to hang that up, but that's just wood. So with stuff that's glass, we kind of have to be a little bit more considerate of how we travel with it. But I'm sure it will get offloaded like many of my other trophies to my mom. Sorry, but another one's coming your way.
Well, again, a big shout out to Mace Man. I know he picked up doing that a few years ago. Maybe it's been 8 or 10 years now, but just a huge shout out. I mean, some of the most beautiful trophies that we see all year, and I know he's been that's been his department. And when people think about where to put them, what to do, because winners like yourself get so many of them, like to really make the cut, to get onto the mantle or onto the wall, they have to stand out. And I feel like that one does it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think the colors, she's going to love it. I love it too. So it'll be in safe hands with her.
Now, what she won't probably, I doubt she'll get is like a big Happy Gilmore sized check. But you taking down your largest check of your career, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's been such a crazy year with, the Pro Tour really stepping up, and the payouts for those events are amazing. And then coming out to what's really was just an A tier for the Throw Pink event, to have a payout like it did is so cool, and it's so amazing. And it definitely feels much bigger than an A tier. And I know my sponsors feel like this is a big win for me. So it was quite a weekend, and I'm very honored.
Can you convince your sponsors that it's bigger than an A tier? Because we know sometimes players have different bonus structures depending if it's a major, an NT. I mean, a call to Discraft. It's like,
Well, I can say they are very gracious, and I am very very happy to be a part of that team.
Are we gonna see a special Missy Gannon disc?
I don't know, maybe.
We better. And to follow all that up, this event, with the overall coverage, the notoriety, the stage, the competition, it has every makings of any other big event that we've had this year. And in some ways, almost more. I mean, you guys had, I don't want to say you guys, there were 2 exclusive streams, one FPO, one MPO that went on throughout the weekend. So as opposed to even some of the Pro Tour events, you saw more even dedicated coverage in that regard. So in every capacity, I feel like it's obviously as much, if not more, as big of an event. And then you're playing, and this is one of the few questions I didn't get out when I was going to talk to you at after you won, but what does it feel like to win at that stage, in that arena, at such a storied course, to win at Winthrop? Does that mean anything to you? Are you kind of a history person in that way?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, even the fact that last year it did host a major and it was basically the same, if not uh, felt bigger this year, going from the women's national championships to now the Throw Pink women's disc golf championships. I think that it's so cool for the FPO division to have the opportunity to play on the course that we've heard of time and time again over however many 20 some odd years, and to know that we're competing on relatively the same course. Sure, we have a few different holes, but for the most part, the challenges are still the same. And I mean, it's almost like I had like an out of body experience when I was coming down 18 on that final day, because I was like, is this really happening? Like, I'm about to step off this iconic hole 18, being crowned a champion where so many other champions have been crowned for. Yeah, I don't know. It's still really hard to describe, and it feels really good.
On 18, you had the luxury of being able to lay up, I believe, to take a bogey on the final hole. Was it a par?
Just to take the par.
It was a par.
It was a par.
Yeah, it's a par.
You still
five.
have the luxury.
I
of being
could have
able to
taken a bogey though. I still would have been. Yeah.
Yes, you still would have been okay. Maybe that's why I thought, because I was like, oh, she's got like 2 strokes. She can easily take a bogey.
Yeah.
So, how nervous were you for that putt? I mean, were you nervous at all even for the layup? I'm saying, or I mean, because it's not an easy. I mean, anything can happen on that green. We saw Chris Dickerson take the most ridiculous roll of all time on that hole after parking it, and you just had a little 15-footer. I mean, what were you thinking?
I was thinking it probably would be easier for me to just try to make this putt right now, because I don't practice laying up that often, and it's such a sloped green with all of the wood chips and the everything surrounding that green. I was like I had to think so hard about what angle I was going to throw this putter on the ground 2 feet in front of me, to make sure it slides perfectly under the basket. It feels so strange and different. And I was just like, okay, just chill out. You're just throwing it under the basket. Like, stop. But I definitely thought, like, should I just try to make this? Because I don't really know how to do anything else right now.
I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there watching in the studio. I was not cutting the show, but I was yelling, lay it up upside down, throw it upside down. And clearly you didn't need to, but all I kept thinking is like, just slide it up there. Like, it's not going anywhere.
I really do think I literally threw it maybe a 2 feet in front of me, and it slid all the way to the basket, to even thinking about like why or how I knew how to do that. It was so weird to me, because like I said, I feel like making a 20-footer feels so much more natural than trying to do what I had to do on the last hole.
Yeah, and I was later thinking, I think maybe I said it in my recap I had done that night. I was looking at your statistics, and I want to say you were like 89%, 90%, 91%. And then because of that, your stats went to like, I don't know, 79 or 85% or whatever like that. I'm like, oh no.
It was in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm thinking, no, that one putt did it. But clearly the best way to ruin or damage that statistic is for the layup win. Now I've already just started like sidetracking and thinking about like, how crazy and unfortunate and silly would that almost feel? Like you do the simplest layup and then somehow it gets up and like you really even made me think about if I like that green as much. I mean, you should always be able to lay up, right?
And
Right.
she clearly
Right.
can.
She
did.
could. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like,
right.
a layup should almost be like a guaranteed, solution.
Yeah.
And it's
I
tough
kid
even
you
there.
not, in the couple of seconds I had to walk up to my lie and throw that layup, I think I thought about it's gonna hit a little piece of mulch and it's gonna get up on edge and it's gonna roll down the hill, like
Uh-huh.
all of those things went through my head in a split second and I was like, and I really just had to be like, stop, match the angle of the ground, throw it 2 feet in front of you. You can make a 10-footer if you need to. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Well, that is quite a feeling, I'm sure. Like, let's backtrack to the hole before it. Hole
Yeah.
17, one of the most, I'll call it abrasive, maybe the most abrasive holes in all of disc golf, heartbreaking, career defining or career crushing. It does all of those things. Hole 17, you and Valerie stepped up, and she had her struggles. A few holes back, she got curbed on 13, I think, as I recall, and then things kind of really struggled from there. But walk us through a little bit of hole 17, at least on the tee. Is there anything that you recall from being there on the tee?
Yeah, I think I remember. I remember after the long walk, as we all know, realizing that at least on my card, I was only really thinking about Valerie because we were within a stroke or so, I think, and I had I had known that from watching some of the shots or highlights from previous rounds that she was basically parking that hole almost every other round. So she clearly had it more dialed in than I did. So I got to that hole and I was like, "Oh no, I'm I get the box before her." Like I was like, "Dang it!" Like I have to
Uh-huh.
like set the tone here. And you know, I unfortunately threw the shot and I turned it over. Definitely turned my wrist a little bit too much into that straight headwind. And I was just like, all right, well, I have to just at least only get a bogey then, which is easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you can see right here, I really had some adrenaline going and
Yeah, you put it like
tossed it
It
straight
wasn't just
into the
barely
lake.
in the water. Like the camera person was like, "Is that going to get me?"
I'll admit, I was thinking like, what the hell is she? What is she doing?
I don't know.
How hard is she throwing
Dude,
this?
I don't know. Yeah, hard, because I clearly don't have confidence in my sidearm distance game. So I guess I thought I needed more than I actually did. But
And
I
then,
had thrown that same. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, walk us through. Then she gets up and has to throw, and then walk us
hmm
through like your reaction, maybe internally, to watching her throw out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm never rooting against anybody, but when I saw that she made the same mistake that I did, and I mean, she had a better chance of staying in bounds because she was not quite 30 feet off the edge of the of the edge of the water, but um, I I definitely was relieved. I mean, that there I basically had gave her the door open, or I let I whatever I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I the door was open for her and she unfortunately also made the same mistake and yeah, I mean I would be lying if I didn't say I was relieved. And but then it all comes down to the drop zone shot, which still we have to carry that OB and still I think it's only probably 50, 60 feet off of the tee, so it's like still almost 200 feet, probably shorter just because of the downhill nature, but an approach to the green. And I think it's really tempting to try to park that hole from the drop zone because at that point you're really just trying to save bogey at worst. But that's again a really tricky thing to do because it's easy to come up short and it's easy to get stuck behind those hay bales. And so I just said, you know what? I just have to make it on the island and, whatever happens, happens at this point. At this point, I'm either gonna, save the bogey, or I'm going to get at worst a 5. And so I just knew I had to put it safe and just let whatever happens happens. And um, yeah, so I definitely put a little bit more heat on it than maybe I needed, but it left me about 50 feet outside, from the pin. And again, unfortunately for Valerie, she did throw her approach short from the drop zone, so I knew that she was going to get a 6 at best, and probably at worst. You're really not nothing else is really going to happen from going to the second drop zone, but so I knew I was at least picking up 1 stroke on her, regardless of whether or not I made that putt from that 50-foot range. And so I just stepped up to that putt. It was a right to left wind, which is not ideal for me because I do putt with a little bit of hyzer. Even though I am a pretty dominant spin putter, it still comes out with a little bit of hyzer. And I just told myself, putt it flat and just whatever, we'll see what happens. And it just was everything connected, everything was right where I needed it to be, and it fortunately snuck in there pretty solidly. And I walked away with a par. So, or, I'm sorry, a bogey. So, yeah, best case scenario for me, at least on that.
What were you thinking? You put your hands up and you're like, I don't know. I mean, am I this good? Am I always thrown in these? What were you thinking when you put okay, is that how it's going to go today?
So I pretty much like sort of wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit, but honestly, my reaction was like, what am I wasn't what am I doing? Like obviously I was trying to make that putt, but it was more so the fact that why couldn't I make the 25-footer I had on hole 16 for birdie to get that stroke? And now I'm making a 50-footer on one of the most treacherous greens out there. Like I'm just like, what is why? Like, why does this happen?
Because you're here to entertain. That's
Yeah,
why.
I guess so.
You're like, this will keep them going. This will get them going. Yeah. Well, it was incredible, and just as always, hole 17 provides the emotion, and it does for everybody. I mean, obviously Valerie and what she was going through, what not only you and your shots, but then always the reaction to your closest competitor's shots and what they're going through, and I think it always kind of feels like man, I know what that's like, and I'm just glad it's not me right now. Because the next time you play that hole, you could throw a B 2 or 3 times, and you're like,
right.
Yep, been there, done that.
Right, and honestly, and yes, that the roles could have been easily reversed, and it would have been a different outcome potentially. Where I ended up taking the 6, which I did the first 2 rounds of the event, so it was obviously something that I had dealt with. Thankfully, I got it out in those rounds, maybe, and fixed it the next 2 rounds. But yeah, I mean, it totally could have been completely the opposite, and I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
What about that walk? And I know we kind of started with you arriving at the tee, but what was that walk like, walking from 16 to 17? Because is it 400 for 5, probably 500 feet, maybe even a little bit more.
Maybe more. Yeah, I don't know.
At least 600. Feels like 10,000. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's at least 600. I'm gonna go with at least 600. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I mean, it was just like, I don't even know, honestly. I remember we had such a huge gallery following us the entire round, and then on top of that, there was a gallery already posted up right at hole 17, like right next to hole 1's fairway, waiting for all of us to get there. So it had kind of like that 8 holes vibe going on because they had been there pretty much all day. They kind of were like yelling out what card was approaching and who was on the card and all of that. So like it had a very similar vibe. And so it just sort of added to the excitement and the anxiety and all of it. But yeah, I remember just, I think, walking with Tom, just trying to like do what we do, laugh and talk, and just try to not think about hole 17 quite as much. I already knew what I was going to do. It had worked out in round 3 where I threw that same forehand. I landed on the island safe. And so I already at least knew what I was going to do and just try as hard as I can to just get a bogey at worst. So yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just kind of just part of the whole experience, just walking up that hill and having everybody around us and all of like the golf cart with media people trying to swerve their way up between us, you know. So a lot was going on.
Everybody has to get into position to, make
Uh-huh.
sure that all these moments are captured. And then,
Right.
18, especially for a guy like myself who's been there and seen it so many years, it just that fairway, I want to be like that fairway, just gets skinnier and skinnier every year
Uh-huh.
somehow, like, and more
Yeah.
difficult to hit.
It's about 815 feet.
Okay.
I just Google mapped it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, it probably feels like 10,000.
Hmm.
Just chipping, quote unquote, chipping up that fairway is not also like a walk in the woods. I mean, you still have to
Right.
throw accurate shots to to progress each way down the fairway.
Right.
At any point, maybe on your, I guess maybe it would be your second or what would be your third shot. Did you think like, oh, I just throw it as hard as I can, I'll gain all the distance, and if I go deep of the basket, did that thought process ever cross your mind?
Honestly, going into 18, there was a card playing 18 right
Mm-hmm.
in the like right off the tee, right after their tee shots, so in the fairway. There was a card waiting to tee off, and then there was us. So we're sitting there just like waiting, and the cameras are hovering, and I could see that the camera was really focused on Kona, and I was, I still hadn't looked to see what was happening in front of us. But I could kind of I got the vibe that like Kona was doing something. um and I look at Tom, I'm like, hey, do I need to know anything? And he was just like, no, don't, he just said no. So,
Awesome.
Tom knows what to do.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. So I was like, okay. And then we waited, we kept waiting. Um, and so I just knew that for me on hole 18, getting the tee shot inbounds, no matter where it is, it was the first goal, obviously, but I knew that that was the hardest part of that hole
Hmm.
for me, at least.
Okay.
I had played it pretty solidly every other round before. Even going OB off the tee, I was able to save the par on during round one. So I kind of knew that if I could, for me on that hole, it's the tee shot most importantly, and then it's that little second chip shot, which is a forehand for me that you kind of you never know what's going to happen because you
Mm-hmm.
can hit that little chip shot. It could hit a little bit with too much angle and maybe roll down the hill to OB. So a lot of things could still happen, but I just knew, all right, I need to throw my mantis just like I had been throwing every other round, straight up the fairway, right at the hill. And I think I threw it probably the best I've ever thrown it on that round, that hole just then.
I was just gonna say
So
it looked picture perfect. Like there was no
yeah.
stress. Like, oh, this is
Hmm.
as routine of a shot as it gets,
Yeah.
and we'll take another
Yeah.
look at it. Just
Hmm.
look absolutely routine for you, and it didn't look like you had any doubt whatsoever.
Yeah, so I know that my mantis throwing a slightly slower disc, I was not going to challenge that OB long or to the right. And being such a neutral flyer, especially in that sort of left to right crosswind up that hill, I was just so confident that it was going to stay super dead straight, and I just had to throw it flat and that let the disc do the rest. So thankfully that my analysis was right and my trust in the disc was correct. And yeah, like I said, it was probably the best tee shot on 18 I had thrown all week.
And as we're taking another look at it from now the catch cam position,
Because
I know
it's I've always said I don't love this particular drive because it feels like so many good shots just get up and roll. But I mean,
Hmm.
you put it in the perfect spot on the perfect angle.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was.
think
I even impressed myself a little bit, but I was just like, all right, it's over now.
I am
I'm
gonna win
done.
this.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then as you're getting closer and closer, and you realize that the pitch up, the layup is all that you need.
Hmm.
Do you in your mind think about what this means for your year? Do you compare it to any other event or success you've had this year? Is there any of that goes through your mind as you're about to go tap this in?
I think what it was for me is like I got my first win, elite win out at Des Moines, and with the weather and all of that and everything that kind of came along with that, uh, I was just sort of looking to kind of like validate that I won that one, like I really did, and so getting another big win was something that I was really hoping for and striving for, and I knew that coming to Winthrop now for my second year, I felt a bit more comfortable out there. I could tell that it really suited my game, and I just being a bit being a bit more on the conservative side sometimes with my play, really kind of paid off out there, and I just let my putting kind of do the rest of the work for me. But for the most part, I feel really comfortable on that course, and yeah, it was just I had a couple of lucky breaks. I had a couple of bad breaks, but for overall, I played that course pretty well. So it was just really nice to kind of get another big win and really solidify my name in, the top elite uh, FPO division.
I
Well,
think, as I say, I think you were already there, but if you want to just add a little concrete, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe that answers the question that's kind of on the board, and I think you almost just answered it, which is at any point, whether it was earlier in the week or coming into this event at all, did you have any self-doubt? Did you think, I'm going to be extra challenged because of X, Y, or Z, or I'm at a
Mhm.
disadvantage for any given reason? I mean, did you have any doubt that you could win this event?
No, not at all. I mean, I feel like unless it's like a clear, like, I don't know. Out at Winthrop, for me, there doesn't seem to be anything that, any particular skill that would be like advantageous to any
Sure.
particular person. So having a ton of distance doesn't really pay off all the time out there. It almost could be worse in
Hmm.
some circumstances. And having a really really solid forehand isn't necessarily a necessity out there. So for me to know that I have pretty much every shot in some capacity sort of dialed in. I knew that I had all of the tools that I would need to succeed out at Winthrop. So yeah, I think I felt very comfortable, and I could tell that there were some holes that were giving a lot of people problems, and in my mind, it wasn't even like that hole wasn't even in my head as like a problematic hole. So I think it was just maybe I was just in the right mindset from the get go, and I just was very confident, and I trusted my decisions and my choices and my game plan. And so not that I came into the event thinking like, yes, I know I'm going to win this, because none of us ever know that we're going to win something. But I certainly felt like I had the confidence and I was in the right mindset to put together a solid weekend.
Well, which hole out there does scare you? Which one do you walk up to and go like, oh, I just this one gets me every time, or man, if I just had like 30 more feet distance or something like
Or I
that,
could just do without this one. Can
or
we
I
just
could,
skip
or
this one?
yeah, can we just skip this one? I'll take my.
Am
So
I allowed to say 17? I don't know.
Sure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, 17's a scary hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think more so like the holes that come to mind are like the new hole 9. I mean, it's
Mm.
like a 300 and something foot hyzer basically, but to a very, very skinny green. And I didn't even once think about laying up that shot. We had the whole right side that we could sort of throw a turnover shot, lay up, and then lay up again to get the easy three. It didn't even cross my mind that I would want to like play it that way. I basically thought I'm going to go for this because I know my distance is almost perfect for this particular hole. And worst I'm going to get is a 4. So thankfully, I think I split it. I think I took 2
Birdie, birdie,
birdies and
par,
2
par.
pars. Yeah. So, it's holes like that where I just like, I didn't even have that thought in my head of laying up, where I saw some card mates do it, and super smart play on their part, but it just didn't even cross my mind.
Did
Um,
Did you hear of anybody hitting that putt from the drop zone? We watched a bunch of people throw, but it's kind of behind that tree. Most people just walked up and laid up. Did you hear of anybody hitting that putt from the drop zone?
Not that I'm aware of. I was watching the live coverage when the men were playing after my round, and I remember seeing Greg Barsby give it like a pretty solid Annie bid from the drop zone, and I was like, wow, he's actually like going for it. What I always thought was, from what I've heard, and from, I think even when I was out there practicing, that there was a gentleman out there that either like helped design that hole or something like that, and he was like, it's nearly unmakeable. No one's going to make it from the drop zone. And so it was just like, oh, when I saw Greg Barsby go for it, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, but I didn't hear of anybody actually making it.
Okay.
Yeah, we could play around on, I won't bother now, but you could actually, if you played around on UDisc, we could probably find that out.
Yeah.
Now I totally lost thought.
Sorry, I took your...
Yeah, you did. What I was going to say is, just like back at, probably any event, but just like back at Des Moines, your good friend, Paige Pierce, one of the first few people to embrace you and congratulate you. Really no surprise from that perspective. However, Paige also was a front runner at one point, and a clear front runner. I mean, she had 5 strokes after day 1, 5 strokes still after day 2, and then day 3 she had a round that was legitimately the most uncharacteristic, worst round she's had in 10 years. We don't need to beat that horse, but she had this terrible round that took her out of contention. And then to see you go on and win, did you two at any point in the last 72 hours, or even after that round, did you guys have any conversations about her and her round and or what may or may not have been happening, or any any talk of it?
I mean, we have hung out, we have seen each other since then. And she was right there on the green to congratulate me when I tapped in my winning, tap in. But I haven't asked her about that particular round. I saw her on hole 18 during round 3, because I was on chase card, she was on lead card, and we were waiting for the backup on hole 18. And I could tell that she was still happy to see me. We were still, there was nothing, I was aware of what was going on. I was aware of what her round was going like, and she kind of just made a little joke, and she said to me, she's like, I might need to have some puppy love play date after this round, So, I knew, and I just sort of gave her a rub on the shoulder, and I was like, we can make that happen, don't worry. But it's sort of like, for me, when things like that happen to somebody that I care about, I don't necessarily think it's necessary to like dissect it and talk about it. It's more just like, it happened, it is what it is, and that whatever, like it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, we're healthy, we're happy people, and we'll move on from this, and we'll grow and learn and stuff like that. So whether or not I'll ever ask her about it, I don't know. I mean, it's just sort of like on to the next one, and it's all good. Like,
Well,
I don't think of her any less than
thankfully, it's not your job, unless you get into the media someday, to have to dissect other people's rounds.
Right.
It's our job to unfortunately have to dwell on some of those things.
Right.
Yeah, and your answer really doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like when you're friends, you're competitors, but you're friends first. And just like you said, whether it's a rub on the shoulder or a glance or a hug or just a nod, that might be all that's ever exchanged about that, and that's kind of what I would anticipate. I mean, I didn't really expect you to say that. Well, that night we sat down and we went through her hole by hole game plan, what she's gonna do to fix it. Like
Right.
I wouldn't really expect that, although maybe because she is analytical. But yeah, I see you two as very much like yeah. Well, and like you said, yeah, and Paige has been really. Also, just to put a nail in that, she has, I feel like, has really matured in a lot of ways, that she is constantly reminding herself and the world that, my successes don't define me, my failures don't define me. One round, one weekend, one event. And, and I think that's pretty great advice for a younger player like yourself, who's only been on the road now for 2 or 3 years, to know that, one of the greatest of all times, that's how she's reflecting back and looking at her career as well. So that would be my takeaway. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that would be my takeaway.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Real quick, I think back to, I think I saw it 2018, you were out touring around playing quite a bit. You win $2,300 for the season. 2019, you triple that to $7,800 for the season. Last year, of course, COVID, you not quite double it to a little over 11,000, much more condensed season. And now here we are. You're sitting on 37,000.
And this is pre-tour finale, which
pre-tour finale.
You're going to add another 30 into that, right?
Yeah, another 30. Right. You're trying to double it in a couple days. Going to go all bet on red or black or whatever. But I mean, right now you're sitting at 37,000.
All the birdies blue.
Yeah. I'm a little older when I say this. I realize it, but I remember when 37,000 was like a record-breaking year in PDGA winnings for MPO.
Yeah.
And here you are, having this incredible season. I'm guessing disc golf already felt right to you, but I mean, is this a little more validating? Is this how good does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think like, wow, like I was working 9 to 5 to make 37,000. What am I doing? Like, what? No, but I have to. I mean, I have to give a big shout out to the majority of my tour has been the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and for them just sort of elevating the payouts to what they are, especially for the FPO division. I mean, I obviously I've had my most successful year this year, but I do think that if the payouts hadn't risen to the amounts that they are at now, who knows what that number would have looked like if we compared that to what previous year's payouts were. I don't know. I'm not really sure how it would all shake out, but I mean, it's just such a great time to be in disc golf right now, and to be doing well in disc golf specifically is just, yeah, it's super validating, and it makes me feel like our decision, Tom and my decision to come out here and do this full time and sort of drop everything and drop all of that, stability and all, and the comfort of having, a home or whatever. It just makes me feel like, yeah, that's cool. We did the right thing. We made the right decision. And, it's just really cool to be a part of disc golf right now. And I'm just really excited for where my game is at, and the fact that I can have been performing at the level that I've been performing. And yeah, the sky's the limit right now, I feel like.
Well, and Hornets Nest, Charlotte is the next stop, and I don't want to too quickly gloss over it, but of course, this weekend, couple days from now, we see you going into the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, and again, great payouts, but there's something to be said, I think, for you about just carrying that sheer momentum, and the payouts fall where they do, but that sheer momentum's got to feel good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had actually played the Clash, which was an A tier right before the USDGC started, that weekend before, to because I knew it was going to kind of be, a good chance for me to have like competitive practice for the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale. So I not only have this week to practice and sort of really get a solid game plan, but I already kind of had a solid game plan from that previous event. So, I feel like I have maybe, a little bit of an advantage now that I've kind of gotten a lot of practice in at Hornets Nest. I feel really comfortable there. Um, now it's just about executing the shots. I know exactly what I should throw and what I need to do on every hole, and now it's just about, doing it and doing it efficiently. So, yeah, it's hopefully I can carry this momentum. And honestly, I think the biggest thing for me was not necessarily having those expectations of winning and just getting, really focusing all of my attention on every shot and every hole. And I know we hear that all the time, not having expectations and, focus one shot at a time. But it's definitely one of those things that's easier to preach and then, not go out there and actually do that. So I'm kind of looking at this event as more of how I went into like the match play championships. I'm so happy to be here. I'm getting paid to be here. It's just like I've earned my spot here. And yeah, I mean, who cares what happens? Obviously, it would be life changing to win, but at the same time, like, whatever, like, whatever. Like, I have to play first before that happens. So,
And do
I
you
mean,
start on do you start on Friday? Do you have
I
the
actually,
first round bye?
I, I start on Saturday, so I do have a
Saturday.
bye to the semifinal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Although with that buy, and I know there's
That's right,
definitely
less,
conversation
one day later.
as to whether or not,
Mm.
playing some of those competitive rounds in the early stages gets people dialed in and more focused for the later rounds. But
If you win, those
yeah,
first
I mean,
rounds.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it doesn't help the 3 people who don't make it through that first round.
Yeah, and then I think about everything you just said about you getting in those competitive rounds during the Clash, the Carolina Clash a few weeks ago. It feels like you should be all primed up and ready to go.
Yeah, and I participated in an OTB skins match on Monday, so that's another bit of competitive practice that I was able to get in. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna get one more practice in tomorrow. I took a day off today, mostly because I had a bunch of interviews that I was invited to do.
And stacks of money to count.
Yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow is going to be like one more solid practice day to kind of get it all finalized and dialed. And yeah, and then we're just going to watch some disc golf and see what the men do on Thursday.
I was just going to ask, that might be one of my final questions for you, is what is your plan, knowing that you're not going to be competing for a few more days? What exactly is going to be your plan down there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Thursday will be I'm not really sure, actually. I mean, I might go out there and actually just watch in person. I'm not really sure if I want to do that or if I want to watch through, the Disc Golf Network. Or, and then, yeah, Friday is going to be interesting because usually I like to do something, either whether it's like practice the course right before the event starts, or it definitely is going to feel weird not having that day right before to do something with the course or on the course. But maybe I'll just do a little putting and again see what the first round of the women do. And yeah, it's going to kind of be fun to just sort of sit back and relax and see what everybody's got.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I think about the, of course, MPO starting on Thursday, but for you on Friday, like you go out and walk along with your peers. I mean, the women that
Maybe.
like that
Just
that's
intimidating with your trophy, walk around with your trophy, like, nice putt.
Or you're just drinking like mimosas out of your vase. That looks like a huge mimosa vase to me. It's like, oh no, I'm good, guys. Just
I
walking
might
around.
need Tom to carry this with the bag on Saturday.
Exactly. I think you're onto something good there. I love it. Last question about it is format. How do you feel about the format? As we dwindle down and you earned your position, but then you have the buys, and then and then how you have to move on. How do you feel about the format? Is there anything you'd
I
like to
like
see
it.
instead?
No, I mean, I think I remember I think the first like two, not last year, but the year before, when it was like win your card kind of
Mm-hmm.
style. So I'm happy that they moved away from that. And now it's just like,
Okay.
the four best scores of the day are going to move on regardless of what card you're on. I think that that's cool. I mean, I don't I don't really have any particulars, or things that I wish out of any event, like this, especially like an exhibition event. I think that with so much money on the line, maybe there should be more scrutiny on, those particulars. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be exciting to watch, and I know there's going to be a lot of media around it, and um, Hornets Nest always provides those challenging shots and those fun shots and everything in between. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Awesome.
My dog is sleeping in the background and she's dreaming and she's making noises. So if you can hear that, I'm sorry.
we can.
We could. I was just thinking we got to let you go in case you
Sorry.
got to let
No,
him out. But
she's good. She's dreaming right now.
hopefully it's all good things. Dreaming
Yeah,
like, oh
she's
man, am I
probably
going to get like a mini
frolicking.
vase? A mini vase filled with treats or food as well?
Probably.
That's what you want
for
next.
sure.
Well, Missy, it's been awesome. Obviously, it's been great watching you with all these successes this year and having you guys out on the tour. And you're always so fun to be around and catch up with. And I always thank you so much for your not only your candid nature, but just your willingness to jump into any media situation and give us responses and be available. And so thank you for all of that. And we certainly appreciate it. It helps make my job and all of our jobs a little bit easier. And then watching you hit a bunch of great putts and enjoy your time out on the course also makes it that much more enjoyable. So looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thank you guys for having me, and I, appreciate you providing this platform for us to kind of show who we really are, and give us somewhere to talk and have a good time.
Well,
Wow.
we'll look for the new Missy Gannon dual champion disc, the USDGC Pro Tour champion disc.
Yeah, tell them not to take
I'm
it
sure
to print
someone's
yet.
watching.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, Bob, if you're out there,
Yeah, Julia, hold off.
Don't print yet. Just wait a few more days.
Or print them all right now, and then you have to print more when it's a
Right.
Pro Tour championship.
You
That
double
might
the
be
disc.
Yeah, I like that.
double
I like
up.
that.
I like that.
Yeah,
Double
yeah,
the
yeah.
disc. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just cut that part out and we'll just
Again, Missy, thank you so
for
much. I know,
joining us.
again, congratulations on all the successes. And one of the things, and maybe you're going to, sit back and watch some Smashbox. In just a moment, we're going to have our next guest who's already talked to you about some exciting stuff going on, and we'll all have some answers when we talk to him in a minute. But we're going to let you go. Thank you. Be safe out there, and looking forward to you having a great weekend again this weekend.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks,
take
Missy.
care. See ya. And there you have it. Missy Gannon out there. Trailer life, camp life with Tom and the dog. So awesome. And always fun to catch up with her, of course. We've seen her successful now on the Elite Series, also the Silver Series, now the Throw Pink Championships. In just a second, we're going to have, as I was just alluding to, we're going to have Dylan from Infinite Dis. He's going to go ahead, and if he wants to click on the little link that I sent him earlier, we'll see if we can get him to jump on here in just a moment.
And I know a lot of pros say this about the tour finale, that they like the way that it's set up now with no matter what card you're on, best score. I still don't. I still like the old school win your card and move on with one wild card. with one best score wild card off one of the boards. I loved that format.
It put a little more emphasis on your final placing within the tour.
And it did, and it grouped people by, I mean, the first card to go off versus the fifth card to go off could be totally different weather conditions. Could be raining for half your round and versus another one. So it really put you up against your competitors, the people you see shoulder to shoulder. I loved that format, and I understand why they went away from it. But I just still have a little special place in my heart where I wish we'd see something like that.
Yeah. I think, in fact, while we do this, do you have some Ace Run Productions stuff you could download? Well, we could run that. What a great, perfect reminder and segue there from Ace Run. Thank you, unintentionally or otherwise, since Johnny was spacing out. I'll blame him. I think we've got some one disc, one tip segments that our friends over at Ace Run Productions. Looks like we've got a whole...
We got
a server full.
No, we got two new ones. I think we have a Raven Newsom one, and I believe we have a Sarah Hokum one, which I don't think we've seen yet.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring.
I don't remember if we've seen the Sarah Hokum one yet. So.
Well, we're gonna bring one in, and we're gonna show it for you now. And while we're doing that, we're also gonna then try and get Dylan on the line from Infinite Discs. So here you are. Thanks to our friends over at Ace Run Productions, we've got one disc, one tip coming at you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are back with another one disc, one tip segment today. Today we've got a rising star from MVP Disc, Mr. Raven Newsom.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
So Raven, you're kind of new on tour. You've been doing this for a little bit now, but how long have you been doing the tour life now?
Tour life, this is my first year full tour. Before I went on tour, I'd played like 4 A tiers and 2 pro tours and just a bunch of B tiers and C tiers.
Okay. And how long have you actually been playing the sport of disc golf?
I've been playing disc golf since I was 4 years old, so about 18 years now. Yeah.
Wow. All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you're making a big splash on the scene, getting on more and more feature cards, throwing MVP. They've got a big lineup. If you could pick out one disc from your bag that can make a difference in anybody's game, what disc would that be?
This is a Pyro. The Pyro is the best disc to have in your bag. It's versatile in every single condition, and I use it all the time. Yeah, it's an overstable mid-range, very controllable, handles headwinds, tailwinds, and it's something that I can depend on in all sorts of situations. It's probably the best disc I've ever had.
Everybody needs that one staple you can go to. An overstable disc, everybody has to have it in pretty much every category. So
it's true.
Check out a Pyro. As always, we'll have the link down below where you can get one. And switching gears a bit here, you've been doing the tour life now this year. You've been playing for a while. If you can pick out one tip that can make an impact in anybody's game, what would that be?
One of the biggest things I always tell myself is you can't make your putt if you don't putt it. So it's super critical to make sure that you are giving the putt pace and height. Don't be afraid to miss high. It's so easy to see many people miss low because they're not committing to their putts. What's the worst thing you can do? Miss? Like, you're gonna miss. It's gonna happen. But if you don't commit to your putts, you're gonna miss more often than when you do. So very important to make sure you commit to all your putts.
Confident on the putting green, go for every putt.
Go for every putt.
There you go. Well, I want to thank again, Raven. Thanks so much for joining us for this segment. Take a moment to thank your sponsors, and how can these guys follow along with you on social media?
So you can follow me on social media at Raven Newsom on Instagram, but I want to thank my sponsors, MVP Disc Sports, Basket Bashers Disc Golf, North Par Apparel, Fit Inspired Living, Adopt Disc Golf, and your favorite mortgage lender, Kirsch Lending. Check them out. Super, super good people. I really, really appreciate all of my sponsors for helping me out on tour.
Awesome. Well, there you go. We'll have all of Raven's information down below as well to follow along with him. Raven, thanks again for taking the time out to do this, buddy.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Smashbox, as always, for airing these segments. And from us at Ace Run Productions, let's run it.
There we go. Thank you so much to Raven and Ace Run Productions.
Those are some all right guys.
We love them. Well, with all of that, that worked out perfectly because now, bringing us some new information, we're trying to maybe get some down and dirty details, the inside scoop, the exclusive. Let's bring in Dylan Durrant. Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys. What's up?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, full disclosure to the world, I had heard something that was in the works of what we're about to talk about, and earlier today, I think it was an Instagram alert to me that said, like, oh, you may want to follow this, or they started following you, or whatever it was, for Disc Golf Convention. And then immediately I thought, oh, yeah, well, if they're starting to Instagram about it, well, then details should be released to the world, or they should be in the works. So let's get right at it. And here you are, Dylan, just like that. Thank you for the flexibility. Thank you for the willingness to join us. Now give us all the damn info. What's going on?
The info everyone's been begging us for.
Okay.
That's what we get for teasing it early, you know. So
Yes. You're not going to slip by me.
And everyone goes, what? There's no info. Well, the plan was to wait till after the Pro Tour Championships, since we didn't want all the hype to get lost in, you know, the fun with the championships. So we'll give you the exclusive early look at what we're working with here.
All right.
Just to feed a little bit of the hunger. So.
Satiate us.
Yeah. So Disc Golf Con. Really have to give credit. So Todd Durrant is my father, actually. We both work here. We've worked here for years. He's the one who kind of really, you know, brought this to light. And, you know, he's run conventions in his past career. And so he's like, you know what? Let's do a Disc Golf Con. And we kind of just felt like there wasn't necessarily an event in disc golf that was just focused around the fan experience for the fans, you know, all around. You get a lot of really great experiences with tournaments for sure, you know, and there's a little bit of tournament aspect to what we're doing too. But we wanted this to be not brand specific, not manufacturer specific, you know, not just Innova, not just Dynamic, but everyone. This is everyone's convention for the fans, you know, for entertainment, for a good vacation, kind of like a Comic-Con would be for, you know, people who like that. So that's really the idea behind the whole convention. You know, in order to do that, we need to have enough things to do for people to want to come. So, and we're selling tickets. I guess we'll start off with some basic details. This thing is going to be in Vegas, at a resort in Vegas, the week before LVC. And we're working closely with the LVC staff to coordinate everything. So we figured that was a good place to be since, you know, it's the first Pro Tour event. A lot of pros are going to be at LVC. It doesn't interrupt their touring schedule much. You know, if we were to try to insert it in the middle of the season, it might not work super well for everyone. So that's kind of the reasoning for the time and date. And hopefully it works. So it's February, 15th to 19th is the official date. So basically there's a few main things that we're doing to kind of bring people in. I guess first off, we'll start with what we're doing with the pros. We're going to do an invitational, high stakes show matches, basically single elimination sort of thing. Really centered on the more spectacle of the fans watching, seeing the emotion. It's not going to be PDGA approved. It's not really a full tournament. It's just single rounds. If you win, you win big. If you lose, you're out, sort of deal. So,
and that's a head? Are those head-to-head matches like, you know, John versus Terry or
a card? Yeah,
it'll be a card.
So it'll be 4. Yeah. So we're inviting 16 MPO and 16 FPO. So invitations have been sent out. We've got, you know, quite a few locked in. We just have to, you know, get contracts from everyone because we need everyone to be there who's going to be there. So, but yeah, so there's several things the pros will do. The show matches are just one aspect, but they're going to be at Wild Horse. We've rented it for the full week. So really it'll be 2 weeks of disc golf on Wild Horse.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. Okay.
So we'll have, you know, at the Infinite course, we'll do the show matches with the pros. The other 2 courses will flip-flop with C tiers. PDGA approved C tier on one, not sanctioned C tier on the other, with golf carts and the full relaxed atmosphere, so that fans can also do that kind of stuff too. But yeah, for the show matches, so with 16 people, that's 4 cards that play throughout the week of MPO, 4 cards of FPO, and then there's also going to be 4 cards of mixed doubles. And the cards will be seeded. The doubles will be reverse seeded, best of best, or, top down, what I mean?
Yep.
To give good shots for everyone. If you win your card on your round, you win $2,000 and you move to the final. If you lose, your journey ends there. But luckily, there's a lot of other things you can do at the convention for a pro. We thought this would be fun just to make it so that if somebody's really close, they're willing to ace run the last 5 holes if they have to, just to get some emotion or excitement. If so-and-so misses the putt, are they going to miss out on money or, big money, all or nothing sort of deal.
And do we know if these matches are going to be live streamed? Are they going to be post-production, combination?
They're going to be post-production.
Okay.
So we have some film crews locked in. Not everything's in stone yet, but we're halfway there. So we want to kind of give a feel of, if I wasn't there, I want to be there next year for the pros and for the fans, So some mixture of post-production, I think, is good. We haven't really planned on doing live, but there's always possibilities.
We know some guys.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. We'll have to talk after. So that'll be pretty cool. Those matches will go all throughout the week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be, I guess we'll call them the preliminary, matches. The final day, Saturday, will be the winners, the 4 MPO winners on one card, the 4 FPO on one card, and the 2 doubles winners, or, players on one card. Anyway, so if they win that card, they win $20,000. So,
wow.
You win 2 cards, you walk away with $22,000. If you win your doubles match too, you split the $20,000. So really, one person could walk away with, I think, $33,000 just from the matches if they were to sweep all their cards.
That's a lot of math. I can't do that.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it either. So, so that should be pretty cool. And that's just one of the many things we're doing. So people can go over to Wild Horse. The cards will be spread out throughout the day, so you could watch all 3 cards if you wanted to in one given day, or you could hit one and then head off to do something else. So that's kind of how the show matches work. And
so those are the show matches. I mean, I can imagine that, as a fan, you can go and watch, if you get your ticket, you go and watch everything, and that other than that, there's got to be other things for a fan to do. Maybe I think of some of the things we're used to seeing at tournaments, like giant fly mart maybe, or, skills competitions or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. So there's going to be a giant vending room, of course. So we've got the ballroom to the convention center booked up, and it'll fit a good 80 vendors. We think we may sell it out. If we do, we'll open up more rooms in the hotel to add more vendors. And we're inviting everyone, and we have quite a few of them locked in already. Most of the big name manufacturers will be there. Dynamics already locked in. They have a bunch of booths. MVP's going to be there. Discraft's going to be there. Prodigy's going to be there. Discmania is, just has to confirm with me. But, anyway, so there's a lot of big brands that'll be there. We've also invited a lot of vendors as well. We work with a lot of vendors and different partnerships and stuff. So we've hit them up first. So if you're, out there and you want to be there, you're invited. Just hit me up. We haven't got around to inviting everybody yet, but then there'll be a lot of smaller brands for disc golf products. Flight Towel's going to be there, Whale Sacks, Tina and Eric, and that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of disc golf products, disc golf, vendors, manufacturers, that sort of thing.
And when you're talking about in that sense, you're essentially planning on the 4 days at least or so of just nonstop vending opportunity, or is there going to be certain hours for the showroom? You know, what's kind of the plan along those lines? And of course, stop us if we're ever getting like too nitty gritty, because I know it's still a few months out. But I'm just thinking, you know, clearly there's going to be, you know, you're going to want as many people, you know, watching golf maybe in person as possible. And I think of a lot of the other conventions where I've been at booths and I run booths, and then I think, okay, then they have dedicated time that's just for, you know, the selling and the actual vending component of it, and how you might split some of that up.
Yeah, there'll be some set times. I'm not sure on the official scheduling exactly how it lines up with all the cards yet. The schedule's, you know, really tough to work out so that the pros can be everywhere they need to be at the right times as far as, you know, and vending. So the vending will be happening a lot of the day. And a little into the evening. There'll be a lunch break for vendors so they can lock up the room and go get lunch and stuff like that too. But really, we want people to be at the show matches and stuff, but we also want to spread people out a bit. Just for logistical transportation purposes and things. So we're trying to have, and our lights just went off.
They're shutting down the warehouse.
Oh, we can still see you, actually.
Yeah, you're fine. You got the screen. I mean, you know, it might look like you've broken into the Infinite Warehouse now, but
I'm sitting too still in here, you know. Anyway, so the vending will be going. We're also going to have the pros do some panels. There'll be 3 panels a day, and every pro will be at least 2 panels. These will be Q&A type things on specific subjects that they'll know about ahead of time. We'll have some, you know, prepared questions. We'll have fan questions, and so it's a good way to kind of interact with your favorite pro as well. So the panels will be there. We're also going to do a swap meet where people who attend can bring their own discs to sell. And we'll facilitate you know, we have a system in place where they can check in their disc early, price it out, explain what it is. They can be used, they can be new, anything you want.
Like a whole storage unit, maybe?
What was that?
I said maybe a whole storage unit.
Yeah, a storage unit would be great. Yeah, so people can price them what they want, and we'll see if they sell. So people can check in the discs. We scan them in. We know whose is whose with the software we're going to use. And then we'll sort them out, probably by brand, and people can go just flip through, kind of like a used record store sort of deal. Just sort through and see what they find. And it will be a little unique because what we're going to do is when it's over, we're going to, you know, to sign up, you have to agree to this. We're going to have all the discs that haven't sold be donated to Uplay for them to use with the kids and stuff. Because we work really close with Zoe and Dustin. They're also on the board for the convention. We have a lot of people on the board helping us out. So that's just, you know, kind of a way to logistically make it easier to sort things out, but also support Zoe and Dustin. And I think that way people are okay if they know, hey, my $6 Sidewinder didn't sell. At least a kid's going to be throwing it now, or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool too. Just so people can, you know, even if they fly in and they load just 10 or 15 discs into their suitcase they want to sell, you know, they sell it at the swap meet, get some spending cash, fill up their suitcase, fly home, whatever they want to do. So
buy more discs. I worry there's going to be a lot more people leaving. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people leaving with more than what they came with. Something tells me that.
Pro tip,
logistics for that.
Fly Southwest, 1 full bag, 1 empty bag.
Yeah.
So you have room to come back with.
We talked about that. Some of the vendors were considering that, bringing all their merchandise in their suitcases.
So, man, it's incredible to think about all of that time out at Wild Horse, and then as you're saying, you know, players getting ready, of course, to be kicking off the Pro Tour the week after. So you're looking at having Wild Horse like Wednesday through Saturday or Wednesday through Sunday, and then that will go right in.
Yeah, we'll use it Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
And on Saturday is technically Jeff's first day of practice.
Okay.
Through the next, I think, Sunday.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
LVC
He has
ends.
it done for the next 8 days.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so really it's Tuesday through the next Sunday. So almost a full 2 weeks. Not quite
Okay.
a full 2 weeks, but so the golfers may hate us, but I think there's a lot of other places they can
Yeah. I
choose
mean,
to go.
Yeah,
if they
it's
can't get their
Vegas.
fix.
There's a lot of golf
Yeah.
courses in Vegas.
So-
we're like, man, they're gonna be bummed when they find out.
the other thing then, you talked about the panels, the actual golf, and then did I hear a rumor about clinics or people being able to set up either one-on-ones or group clinics, or is that something that you guys are overseeing and then administering, or is that something that will be kind of on a case-by-case basis with the individual pros?
Yeah, so we're gonna schedule and administer that as well. So any pro who is gonna be there with us, and we're also opening this up to basically any touring pro, with credibility, not just any average Joe, but someone that someone that tours and knows their stuff. It was really tough to narrow it down to just 16, men and 16 women for sure. So I know we've probably hurt some feelings, but we're trying our best to include everyone, and we really hope this grows and we can have more in the future years. But that being said, for clinics and stuff, any pro can choose we'll show them their schedule really early on, and we can say, okay, you have to be this panel at this time and play this card at this time. But these other times you have open. You can either go sell discs in the vending room, or you can run panels or just hang out, whatever you want to do. So if a pro wants to do a clinic, we're going to let the pro decide what they want to do it on, when they want to do it that fits their schedule, and how many people they want to have. And we'll work with them on how much they want to charge. We want to keep it accessible because it will be an extra fee on top of the ticket price to get on with your pro. So let's say Eagle wants to do a distance clinic and he wants to have just 10 people. He could charge $50 a person if he wanted to. And, we'll keep a little bit. I think we'll keep just like 15% for getting everything worked out and taking the payments, but he'll keep most of the money. And so, or maybe James Conrad wants to say, hey, let's recreate my throw at Worlds on the driving range. Anyone who wants to come can pay $5, and if you make it, you win my envy. I'm just kidding. It's really flexible on
MVP will make you unlimited envies that you can sell.
It's $5 for the thing, and then it's $500 to throw the actual envy. So
yes, throw my envy for $500. Sure, Garrett Gerthy really wanted to do a grilling clinic. So
that would be fun.
Grilling with Garrett. You pay $40 and there's only 5 of you, and you have a steak dinner with Garrett. I mean, there's a lot of options as far as how involved a professional chooses to get. But I mean, really, there's a lot of opportunity for them to make a lot of money and get a lot of fan interaction by choosing to do these clinics and stuff. So
now,
we really want to get a juggling with James Conrad clinic in there.
Yeah, I like it.
I think that'd be pretty cool. So, or DJing with KJ would be pretty cool. Maybe we'll just have a party with him as the DJ.
There you go. I was just
we've got a cook, a juggler, and a DJ. What more do you need?
Yeah,
that's a party
for
me.
You don't need anything else. Yeah, exactly.
The only potential drawback, and again, this is, I think, a good problem to have. The only potential drawback that I'm seeing is initially is that people would be like, man, that sounds amazing. I want to be there for all of that. I want to be there for all the clinics and the shows and the golf and blah, blah, blah. But I also, want to play the LVC, or I want to be there and watch the LVC. Yeah. I can't take 2 full weeks off. Believe it or not, I think that's probably going to be the number one complaint. I'll use that in air quotes.
I think so.
Is that it's a lot of amazing stuff, and some people might have to pick and choose which they put more emphasis on. But again, what a good problem to have.
Yeah, it was always tricky. We considered that a lot. I mean, but really in the end, the only way we were going to get the pros there, which is the only way we were going to sell tickets, is to have it somewhere that was easy and convenient for them. And so we may be able to work out in the future, I mean, the long-term goal is to make this thing grow a lot and to have it every year, and maybe have, a Midwest disc golf con and a East Coast disc golf con, or, maybe we run 3 a year, different spots. I don't know. That's way down the road, but
Sure.
I won't get ahead of ourselves here. We got to get one off the ground first. So yeah, maybe there's a better way to work it as like a stop in between two tours, spots, so they have a little more time. But so far, this was the option, just with Wild Horse and all that, is the best way for us to get it off the ground. So we're just gonna cross our fingers that enough people will want to come, or maybe able to make it to both, perhaps, that we can fill it up.
Yeah, and that again, and this is all just me. I've run a lot of events, and I really enjoy attending conferences, usually on behalf of promoting disc golf. But I think about, you guys are taking a huge risk in securing these properties, these venues, making these reservations, doing all these things, really with a lot of upfront cost and outlaying a lot of fixed costs and money. And there's a large, I don't want to call it a hope and a prayer yet, because obviously you guys have researched it, but there's a lot of faith and trust being put in the idea that, yeah, we're going to get enough people to show up, and for us not to just, lose our tails in hosting it, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a lot of risk with it. I think that's maybe why no one's done it yet. But
well,
we kind of just have to have the hope that if we build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of disc golfers out there who don't go to these big events, just because they haven't had the desire, but they're a big disc golf fan. They like watching it on YouTube, or they like collecting and just throwing as many discs as they can. So we're trying to tap into the audience that maybe not want to play Vegas, but just go watch, collect discs, hang out. I don't know. We just feel like there's a lot of untapped market out there, where there are a lot of people who may enjoy a convention style, maybe even more than playing a 3-round tournament or something like that.
Well, and
but yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a hope and a prayer. We've done a lot of research, so we're leaning on hope and research.
Well, and obviously all by design. Not only is it just before the Pro Tour, but you've got a generally a warm climate that's a fun city that's great to be in, that usually is relatively inexpensive to get to. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have all of those benefits, baked into being in Vegas, or it being in Vegas. If you put this in the middle of, Wyoming or Idaho or West Virginia, obviously you just don't have some of those things. As already laying the foundation. So. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and that's why we're like, hey, Vegas is another perfect place. People can go out on the town at night and play disc golf by day, or watch disc golf or shop or whatever. So we may even work up to set up more seat tiers around town too, with local TDs, just to have more things for people to do. So
yeah, okay, I love it. Let's just say, and again, I'm not sure exactly how you're arriving at the top 16, or if that's a ranking, or if that was a hand-picked order, whatever it is. But let's just say Raven Newsom, great kid. I'm guessing he's not in your top 16 just out of performance space. But Raven Newsom is interested in being part or doing something and still being involved. Do you go to a Raven and say, hey, you're not playing in one of the matches per se. However, you can still have a booth. You can rent a booth, whatever. You can rent a booth, and then he might be able to still do clinics that are hosted through you guys. Like, what's kind of the line? Because there's clearly going to be, like you said, some people that are outside the 16 that could be fan favorites or still want to be involved and or be selling.
Yeah.
Are those opportunities going to be available?
Yeah, the opportunities will be there for sure.
Okay.
We haven't necessarily reached out to everyone and said,
sure,
hey, right now we're focusing on securing the 16, and we have backups to the 16 if they can't make it. Simon can't make it; he's having his baby that week. So
sure.
So we're already going to move on to to some backup reserves. But as far as the opportunities go, definitely everyone's invited. The opportunity, with the clinics, will be there. Run as many clinics as you want. But we're gonna have more lights just turned off. It's getting haunted, man.
Are you guys sure you can afford this conference? Are you guys?
I don't know. Shut off our power.
Are we sure Dylan works there? I'm just.
I snuck in. Yeah, we have a crew. They're just in the other half of the warehouse shipping orders, and I'm sitting back here in the wholesale section in the dark. So,
if we start seeing, icicles coming off your nose because it's been turned down to 32 to keep it cool in there at night or something, and then we'll know.
So we had a big ice storm last night. Actually, it took out power this morning.
Okay.
They got it back. It's been crazy October. But yeah, anyway, so for those other pros, we definitely want everyone to be involved. So they'll have the clinic opportunities. We may be able to even work in more meet and greet type events. And really the schedule, we can, schedule as many hours of the day as we have rooms rented. And there's also another thing we're going to do. I guess I didn't really talk about this, but if a player, one of the 16 or not one of the 16, wants to sell like a release of discs or something, a special edition, that's going to be on the schedule, in the vending room. Okay. And we have booths, several booths set aside for professionals, not like one per pro or whatever. There'll be a flexible space. So if Nate Sexton, who talked to us about this, wanted to come in and drop a special release, he can come in, sit down with Innova or sit down at his own booth. The drop of the discs will be announced in the schedule. Hey, don't forget 3 p.m. today, Sexton's dropping the special Firebird or whatever.
Sure.
And then hopefully we can get some lines building up for these pros. They can meet the fans that are buying the discs, sign the discs if they want to be signed, and that kind of thing too. So there's opportunities to sell and opportunities to do clinics and to just mingle with the crowd, really, for a lot of these people who aren't the 16.
And I'll admit I've never been to a Comic-Con, but do you envision then a couple of different attendance fees or no attendance fees for like the generic conference, not conference, for the, I don't know, we'll call it the sales room for lack of a better term. How do you guys kind of envision, is there going to be VIP access or a certain situation where you're buying, the gold pass that then gets you certain access to these 5 things as opposed to the generic 1-day pass? Like, and again, I don't need like dollar for dollar specifics, but what's kind of the plan there?
Yeah, so there's going to be a general admittance base fee that gets you into everything as one of the options. That'll give you access for the full week to the show matches and vending and clinics and really everything. There's also going to be a VIP ticket that it'll be a good cost more. Gets you a nice VIP badge so you can look cooler than everyone. Also, it'll get you into a signing event with the pros where only people with VIPs can go in and get any discs they want signed, or they'll also receive a disc as part of the VIP package to be signed. If they want to have a blank disc to get a bunch of signatures on, or we'll probably have a bottom stamp on it. I don't know for sure yet. So we're still working on the details. We'll also have early access to the vending ballroom for VIPs. So perhaps the first hour of the day, the VIPs can get in early and snatch up what they want to get before everyone else gets in. As well as some special clinics we're working on that'll just be for VIPs. So we haven't nailed down every single perk and exact pricing yet. We're really close to that, so I won't say anything on it yet till we have it set in stone. But so it'll be the VIP, the regular pass, and as far as single day passes, I think we're planning on selling a single day pass just to the Saturday final show matches. So they can show up if they just want to be there on Saturday. Let's say they come in early for LVC and just hit up the last day. We may do single day, just vending room access as well. but we haven't locked that in stone yet either. So
Okay.
there'll be a couple different options for sure. So I know Comic-Con has like, I haven't been the one either, but I know they have like 15 different passes.
Yeah.
They all do sorts of things, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Ours will just have 2 or 3 options. So.
No, and that makes perfect sense. I think clearly there's so many people that I feel like have something to gain by being here and being involved with it. Hoping that we see just a tremendous stream of people that come through. I think if you're prototyping a product, and certainly doesn't have to be just a disc, you're prototyping a product, or you're just getting your Kickstarter going with something, or whatever the case might be, there's so many opportunities for you to be involved at an event like this, have your vending, and then get it directly in front of people, to take a look at, to test out, or whatever for people. I don't know. I just like conferences and this type of stuff just really excite me. I enjoy being a vendor at them, and I also enjoy walking around them and taking them all in. One of the biggest highlights of every World Championships in the 30 some that I've attended is, in fact, the Fly Mart. And that's where, the vendors, some very well-known and reputable ones, but then also the local one that I may never otherwise see in such and such city. When they go to the Fly Mart and come to the Fly Mart, that's just this, outside of the players smelling after a long day of play, then they didn't get a chance to go get freshened up. Outside of that, and it being really warm, the Fly Mart's, like, to me, one of the highlights of attending a World Championships.
Yeah, we think it's going to be super cool. We've met a lot of really cool people that we work with at Fly Marts. Yeah. Products that we might not have heard about otherwise. When the M Retriever was new, we didn't know what that was until we met them at a booth and got their wholesale information, and we started selling it. Like, we just started selling this week. We're going to start selling Max Wax. I don't know if you've heard of that. I hadn't until a couple weeks ago. But it's a mini disc that has wax to like give you good grip. Maybe it's controversial, maybe it's not. I don't know, but we're going to sell it, and we wouldn't have known about them. But that's a great opportunity for them to be there and get the product in people's hands and show it off. So anyway, there's a lot of really fun things at the Fly Marts, and we're really trying to get a lot of the cool, smaller brands with really cool products to come. Because I think it would be very beneficial to them to just get it in front of people and interact.
Exactly.
And we've had a lot of those guys have been the most excited to sign up and come.
And just to put it out there, and I don't really care who is or isn't good with whatever your answer is personally, but Infinite not only laying out an absurd amount of time, energy, effort, and cold hard cash to organize and make this happen, but Infinite, of course, hoping to benefit from this, right? I mean, I don't know if if it's even humanly possible to do it financially, but you guys are, why are you taking this on and this risk and all this extra work? What would be the best way to say that? What do you guys have to gain?
I mean, it's a fine line we've had to walk between, making this all brand inclusive disc golf con as a standalone event versus an event with Infinite Discs name plastered all over the walls. We want to walk the line where everyone feels included, and it's not just Infinite Discs, advertising everywhere. But we do want people to know that we run it and we're putting in the effort. Mm-hmm. So really, a lot of it is just the marketing aspect of, hey, Infinite Discs is putting on this event for the community. We just want to grow the sport. If we at least break even, we are happy. Sure, we'd love to make more money, but right now this is a break-even budget. I mean, we're just hoping to get enough people to cover the expenses that we have. I think a lot of it's just out of the love of the sport and the love of bringing people together and having fun and enjoying something that we all enjoy. And, and of course the marketing's great when it's presented by Infinite Discs. It's just making us as relevant as we can be. There's so many up and coming shops and online stores and things that, we just want to do something to be remembered. And this is Infinite Discs thing. And here we're doing it, but it's not just them. It's a community thing, and everyone's involved and everyone loves it. So that's just kind of the best answer I can give.
No,
but
That sounds
good. I mean, I don't care how much money you make at it. You guys are, or not.
We love to make some money and
of
cover,
course.
even more expenses. But
yeah,
for the first year, we realized this is going to be by the skin of our teeth on promising the money, and then we got to hope we sell enough tickets.
Yeah. Well, you guys are outlaying all the extra work and putting on all the risk on your shoulders. And again, quite frankly, I don't really care if you made 100 million or if you made if you lose $7. Like, it's, first of all, it's none of my business. But second of all, the fact that you guys, I love the fact that although you have discs and you're obviously this huge retailer, I almost love the fact even more that you're not an exclusive manufacturer, because I feel like I don't want to say it's an easier pill to swallow, but it does feel that much more than inclusive and welcoming, as opposed to if Innova were putting this on. And Innova could do a great job and invite a bunch of other vendors if they wanted to. They could have, could always do something like this. But when it is someone that's not just brand specific, because you do sell so many brands, to me, I think that's a huge advantage that you guys have, that I think does and should make this very appealing. That's my guess. That's my take.
Yeah. Oh no, well, I mean, I think that's awesome. That's really what we're going for. Is we took a step back and said, well, no one else is going to do this. If they're a single manufacturer, they want,
exclusivity.
Their marketing on it.
Yeah.
And our motto, our loose motto for the last year has kind of been like, hey, throw what you love. When we sign up pro, they throw an open bag. They can throw whatever they want, And yes, we have our own line of discs, but that is not at all at the center of our business. Really, we're a retailer, first and foremost. That'll always be our goal, is to retail and be inclusive with everyone. And we have so many good relationships with everyone that it really has been kind of fun to talk to everyone and get excited and get everyone on board. So I think we come from a pretty good standing to put it together. So
yeah, but you can tell us. There's got to be some manufacturers you're like, I gotta talk to them today.
I'm not gonna invite them. Your invitation got lost in the mail.
Well, not
Who
really.
Are those?
I mean,
tell us.
We want every manufacturer to succeed, because if they succeed, we succeed.
Okay. All right. You're way too nice.
We don't have any bad blood.
You will by the end of this.
At the end of this interview.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's things that are going to come up that we don't foresee, and I know that's going to happen. But hey,
well, and not to to take it really there to get too pessimistic, but inevitably, unfortunately, you could get faced with, and I'm just thinking ahead of, oh man, they purposely put us in this corner of the lobby, which doesn't have the entrance by it, and therefore not enough traffic came through here. And it's like, there's a way that if people want to dig for some excuse or some reason, to feel slighted, they maybe can. But hopefully everyone embraces this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone that we've talked to has been super excited, and I don't know anybody that's coming so far that seems that way.
Nah.
I know people, people can be crazy. No, and I get that, but we'll deal with that on a case-by-case basis, and we'll just draw your booth spot by random out of a hat if that makes you feel better.
There you go. So you didn't list the exact resort, and by no means do you need to, or maybe you don't have it, or you already have it locked in. Is that locked in, and that's something that will get released later?
Yeah, it's locked in. It's going to be at Alexis Park Resort.
Okay.
It's a non-casino resort, just because the casino ones were by far a lot more expensive. So we hope to move to a bigger venue next year.
Okay.
We just have to prove we can sell this one out first.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it looks like a great resort. There's a giant pool. There's lots of stuff to do. I think it's like a block or two from the strip. It's not right on the strip, but it's close enough that anyone can get there in a hurry if they want to be there. It's about 15 minutes away from Wild Horse, so.
Okay, that's
Not
exactly what I was just
far,
looking up, is the exact location, because again, everybody, loves to be in Vegas. There's so many different millions of things to do in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then proximity to things like the Strip or being off the Strip, obviously. Plenty of people like that mentality as
no,
well,
for sure.
which is understandable.
So.
Awesome. Well, very cool. It's certainly going to be exciting. Yeah, I see that you're right. It's just a couple blocks off the Strip. Looks like it's just on the road from Aria. The opposite, just on the road from there, if I'm looking at it correctly. So, yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, it's not too far from anything.
Sweet. Wow. So is there anything else? Any other detail that is ready that's shareable? I mean, I think we've got pretty much the groundwork here laid, but anything else we should know?
I think that about covers everything we have ready.
Okay.
I mean, we'd love to, to add more, but really, I think the next step is we're going to start selling tickets. So
okay,
tickets are going to go on sale October 20th. And at that point, we will reveal each pro that we have locked in. And as more pros lock in, we will just announce them on social media and stuff as we go. So, but we have a great amount of FPO players. They were very good at getting back to us quickly, whereas the men are very slow.
I was just going to say that I could guarantee it, that the women were far more responsive and probably accommodating and polite than the men. That's just a guess.
No, I mean, all the men have been very polite and great as well. They just take longer to answer their email, and that's fine. And part of it's getting a hold of them. I mean, not everyone has their email out there for the public, and we haven't worked with every pro. So we've been reaching out through different brands and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the FPO players, we have more than half locked in, ready to go. The men approaching half, and several more not locked in, but in great conversations with them. And almost ready to go. So I think by the 20th, we'll have a good handful more, and we'll be, close enough. We kind of have to have the pros to sell the tickets. We have to have the tickets to prove we can pay for other things, I mean, we'd love to get enough money in there and fly Ken Climo in and Barry Scholl, some of these guys, and have legends panels, and we'd love to have them, but maybe we have a show match with all those dudes.
There's
a lot of
endless
ideas
opportunities. Yeah,
there, and as the ticket money rolls in, we'll see where the budget can take us. So.
I mean, I think if you're gonna have grilling with Double G, there needs to be poker class 101 with Wysocki. With Wysocki, maybe sure. Yuli. Those guys like to do some of that. Poker KJ, I believe.
Yeah.
So
and that's why it's super fun to work with these guys, because they have great ideas, and really the sky's the limit on what they want to do. If people will pay to do something with them, I think it's really fun for the fans to see the other side of pros as well. To see what their other hobbies are and their interests and that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of people would want to do poker with Ricky and juggling with James, just to see another side of their favorite pro who they just watch on Jomez. So
there's some classes and shows that I would recommend more than others in Vegas, but I think if we funnel them into disc golf, I think we're on the right track. Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, Dylan, thank you for the insights. Like I said, I had heard the rumblings and the chatter about this coming to be, and then when I saw the Instagram get started today, that's when I was like, well, I mean, if they're putting it on Instagram or getting started there, they definitely have to be getting ready with some details. So again, the 20th is when we can expect tickets to go on sale. And I'm sure leading into it. Yeah, what's going to be your main go-to? Is it a Facebook page or Infinite's page or the Instagram page? Where do you see the majority of the latest and greatest info getting released?
Sort of all the above. The Instagram and Facebook for Disc Golf Con will be the primary information source. Infinite will be sharing all of that, as you know, again, that line between Infinite still putting this on, and we have the email list and that sort of stuff. So
Sure.
if you're in on Infinite social media, you'll see about it. But we also want Disc Golf Con to be able to post independently, give out the information. As people sign up, we'll also have an email list for attendees, so we can give by the minute information as we need to, and updates and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm already thinking of the
follow
app.
Disc Golf Con. What was that?
I'm already thinking there needs to be an app now. I mean,
I know. I'm thinking of the GB, or I guess DDO.
DDO.
App,
Yep.
Gotta. We may work into that. We've talked about it. I'm sure there's an easy.
Quit talking to me. I'm going to keep putting more work on your plate.
Reach out to Bobby Brown. He's free now.
That's what we need.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, Dylan, thank you. Well, thank you to Infinite. You guys collectively, it certainly it would be impossible to miss the contributions that you guys have been making to support our players, various organizations, and the tour, and just so much of what you guys are doing. Clearly, you guys love supporting disc golf, and it's not just about the dollars and the cents, and that you guys are constantly giving back. And we thank you, and I say it with great enthusiasm. Thank you for sticking your necks and your pocketbooks out on the line to try and pull something like this off. It looks like it's going to be nothing short of enormous. You guys are going big right off the bat, and I wish you the best and applaud you. And if there's any way I or we can be any asset or resource to you, certainly don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Do you see a Tuesday night podcast there? Is that what you're saying, Terry?
I don't know. There maybe collect. I don't know. There's all sorts of
room for you guys already booked up.
Okay. Well, I like where this is headed.
Talk to you after. So. Yeah, no, I mean, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for everything you guys do as well. It's great to see Smashbox and to see all the people out there. Really, it's the way I get to see put a name to the face of some of the pros I don't know as well. So,
well, appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I promise you, a Smashbox after show in Vegas means something entirely different.
That's a way different.
All right, on that note.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
All right, Dylan, thanks. We'll be in touch. We appreciate it. Thanks for the time tonight.
Yep, thanks so much.
Go turn on those lights.
Yeah, I'm going to sneak out of here if I can find the door.
All right, goodbye, Dylan.
See ya.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
I already envision Dylan tripping on a stack of Frisbees as he's trying to walk out, but...
Disc Golf Con, wasn't that your nickname before Disc Golf Con?
It was, I know. And that's when I then reached out to Marcus, who's Disc Golf Lawyer, and he helped work out a few things.
Helped you change to Disc Golf Guy. I understand.
Yes. I understand because of Comic Con and all these other things. Just something about Disc Golf Con. That's one thing I didn't press him on. I feel like I know a few disc golf cons, but
most of them are in Illinois, huh?
Wow, they're gonna come after you.
Come
for that
on,
one.
It's a good Illinois joke. Jeez.
Somebody's gonna stick a shiv in you.
Most people from Illinois carry.
I hear them sharpening them right now, just ready to shove it right into you. Wow, awesome. Well, I reached out to Dylan. And Mookie and Dylan and those guys just a couple of hours ago for the first time, and they were very gracious to turn around and make it happen, to be able to give us some of those insights tonight. And I'm going to call that's largely exclusive info that's not yet wasn't ready for press, but we pressed them
out
on
of them.
Yeah,
nice,
so,
very good.
Super happy to do so.
I've got to work with them in the past. They were sponsors of skipace.com this year, or last year. This year, Dynamic Disc stepped up and did it, but I have a feeling that we'll be probably reaching out to Infinite again, or Dynamic Disc again, or both, or all of them. It's much like them. It doesn't matter to me. We're all big Frisbee family. Is that what we say?
Polydiscurous?
Poly something. But if you're interested this weekend for the tour finale, Skip Ace is doing a competition for a mock shift basket. So we're going to give whatever you want to call it, is going to give away a DGA mock shift basket. So go ahead and get out there, sign up. It's like $5 to play right now. If you sign up, there's I hope
only like 3 people sign up, and then my chances go way up, and then I win a basket.
There's I'll say this: the odds are pretty good right now.
Ooh,
yeah. So
I'm gonna have to get myself all logged in there and
you are logged
go
in.
Get in that action.
Remembered your login and password. Congratulations! You didn't even use the social media. Let's go ahead and real quickly, because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. The USDGC. We went right into the throw pink. So we're going to talk about the USDGC now. Paul McBeth takes it down over Kyle Klein in extra holes. A little playoff action. And Terry, I got something I want to show you.
Okay.
This Paul McBeth on hole 1 and Paul McBeth on hole, well, technically 19 for him that round. Look at this. Is it fair that he got to practice that almost exact same putt?
Oh my gosh.
On
like,
the left
talk
versus
about
on the right?
foreshadowing.
That one goes in, and that one went in. Look at that.
Oh, you should have lined up the timing.
I didn't have a chance to do that. I literally did it while we were sitting here. But either way, Paul McBeth in a familiar spot, not only on the podium, but also from putting position. That guy putted lights out that second half of the round.
Infinite lights out.
Yeah, infinite lights out. Infinite warehouse lights out. So now when you see the infinite commercial, you'll know the warehouse that doesn't have any lights.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, I feel like it's almost beating a dead horse, but he was lacking in the putting department for a number of events this year.
Oh, for
he
sure.
admitted it, and his putter pretty much came through.
Came through at the time that he needed. I mean, he shot some pretty good golf. Not great golf that final round, but enough. Kyle Klein gave himself a chance to win at the end. Had he just hit a 35-foot putt on 18, facing, and it was, as they say, a death putt, facing that water. He just came up a little short. Had he put that in, I think he almost certainly would have sealed the deal with Paul. I mean, you have to guess. Maybe Paul gives his 18 a little bit better run at it. But either way, it was a solid showing from Paul, shooting he shot a 6 down, a 5 down, an 11 down, and a 4 down.
Yeah, so clearly that third round doing the majority of the work, and
some heavy lifting there.
Yeah, it was every bit of what a major should be. We had, I think, 3 people tied at 24 under at one point. And then there was a discussion, as with a number of us, as to if, well, I mean, with the way the last few holes play out, there's some birdies to be possibly earned, and there's some bogeys to be definitely easily racked up, and as to whether or not 24 would be the winning number. Well, ultimately, it was not. What was it, 26? Was the number that did it. But Wysocki, Joel Freeman, Chris Dickerson was in the conversation. It was every bit as exciting, because on this course, the way that these holes finish out, and this hopefully remains true at so many other tournaments, but with the way these holes finish out, anything could happen. There's no obvious, well, they're just gonna, it's all but a birdie on the final hole or whatever. No. On this course, it sets up and provides the venue and the stage for the drama to unfold.
15, 17, and 18 are all holes where anything can happen.
Yeah.
I don't put 16 in there. You can go OB on 16, but you're not probably racking up a huge number. But 15, there's the triple Mando technically. 17 is the hay bales, and 18, as we saw with Missy and talked with her about, a very difficult drive that we've seen discs get up and go. A very difficult green, as we saw with Chris Dickerson, get up and roll on what looked to be a perfect shot. Anything could have happened on those final holes, and to watch the way Paul McBeth clutched up and put down some putts. I mean, he hit like a 40-plus footer on 15 for par from a place where I don't know if I've ever seen anyone putt from.
Yeah.
That exact angle, right down the tunnel, right down the chute with the fence behind him. And then 17, the 68, 69-foot putt right outside the circle. And then 18, just a great drive. And he gave himself a chance at the victory with a 40-foot putt that he just 2 inches to the right, he wins. 2 inches to the left, he loses. And, he hit it in the what feels like the one spot where you can miss and not go OB, because he fell straight down. And that could have gotten up and rolled. It could have done 1,000 things. But ultimately, he ended up getting to go to a playoff. And unfortunately, Kyle kind of, he yanked it a little bit left, a little early release, put it in those bushes. Still had a shot at it from the bushes through the hole, through the gap in the bushes. Just kind of hyzered out a little bit early, and Paul puts himself kind of an ace run at it. He was almost basket high to the right, slipped 25, 27 feet past the basket, and drops down that putt for another major championship for a guy who had what, by all accounts, on every scale for us to him, so measuring him, a down year. He had, other than the majors where he finished second at Worlds to James Conrad's holy shot, and now at USDGC, all the other events, a little lackluster. He just didn't seem to ever find his groove, ever feel comfortable. His putter never felt like it was kind of lights out like we've seen in the past. But in the biggest stages, that guy just shows up, and still one of the greatest.
Yeah, incredible effort, and then everything that you can turn around and then also say about the charge and the late event tenacity and charge by Kyle Klein.
Oh, 11
also, like,
or
you
10
think
down.
You think about all the people that were right there, and you're going into the final day and you're looking at the numbers, and of course Kyle's right there on the chase card, but you're not like, oh yeah, Kyle's probably going to run this down. Like, no one's thinking that specifically. And
being
clearly
down 6 strokes to Paul, being down, what is it? Was it four strokes to Ricky, I think, or 3 strokes to Ricky, or something like that. Either way, there was too much from almost everyone's perspective. There's too much talent to get past for him, and he goes out and shoots a 10 down.
Yeah,
and everybody else was kind of sitting at those mid single digits, like 4, 5, and 6. And he stepped it up. I definitely say it felt as if there was, and maybe we could compare and look at last year. I wonder what the winning, well, I guess that takes 2 seconds of Googling, what the winning score was last year. And I know the course changes and conditions can change. I just felt like in general. In 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Downpour.
Last year it was in the downpour.
I want to say it was like a 30 that won it.
Yes, GC. Let me do a little Googling here.
Oh, we've got a board here. They should do that.
Yeah, come on. Why doesn't the board know? We're gonna go about this the long route.
I know. That's how I always go about it. I hit the current year, tap a player, go back a year.
Well, often it shows up on its own. So last year,
Chris Dickerson.
Yeah, Chris Dickerson had won it with a 30 under. Shooting 57, 53, 59, 69. Now, clearly, those conditions were insane last year with regard to the downpour during the final round. I mean, just looking at Chris Dickerson, normally you would never be able to say, oh, yeah, somebody shot 2 over and won the USDGC. They shot 2 over 1 round. Like that.
Doesn't happen.
Will likely, not ever be the case again. But, I mean, that's where I think, like, even if you just trim off, you give Dickerson, we'll just come up with an arbitrary 5 strokes due to the weather, and that's still a 3 under, which is probably even light. That puts him at 33 on the weekend as opposed to the 26. So just overall, it felt like the scoring certainly played. Now, hole 9... is different.
Yeah, hole 9's a little different, but
anyway,
I mean that was still a 2 actually for a lot of people, and a 3 for many others. I think it was just, I don't know if it was just the wind. I mean, if it was a little more windy on these days, it didn't seem like it was ridiculously windy.
It
like
really
17
wasn't.
Always has some sort of wind that you're playing with, but I don't know why the scores were a little bit depressed this particular week. So
at any rate, largest payout we've seen at the USDGC. So that was, I guess, good if you got into some of that cash. But $20K, I mean, that's what does make part of this incredible is the fact that if Paul, for instance, were to go back-to-back winning weekends, he has the chance to pull down
20 and 30, 50K.
50K over
over
2 weekends.
I was a little upset for a couple of reasons. One, Paul, we reached out to him, and unfortunately he's not feeling well tonight. He's got like a tooth infection, I believe. Something. He's got something going on.
He's been chewing on gold coins.
He's got some sort of gold poisoning. I don't know. But anyway, so he wasn't feeling well. And you'd said you'd seen his arm at USDGC, and it was like
disgusting.
That's
the word I'd use. Disgusting.
It was a little. It looks like he got into some poison something or other. Had an allergic reaction on his. It was his left hand, right? Or was it his thumb?
Honestly, I don't recall.
Either way,
all I know is he after the third round he had pulled his sleeve up just a little bit. And yeah, it was all very poison something-y, and it was a pretty disgusting reaction.
That guy is very sensitive skin. He needs.
That's what Hannah says. Very sensitive soul.
He's like a sensitive soul. I said his sensitive skin because he's always like seems like at least 2 or 3 times a year that guy gets into something and he just breaks out like a leg or an arm or a neck or just something that he has. But I was upset that he couldn't make it tonight. And I was also upset that he outdid me for Skip Ace. We raised $1,000 for the Paul Macbeth Foundation. And what does he go and do? He goes and wins the USDGC and donates $20,000.
Ooh,
look at me. I can.
There he is, one-upping you or 19 grand upping you.
Gosh.
And with that, just to also put a stamp on that, you had a couple of people that helped toward the contribution of that.
It did, yes. Obviously, Paul Macbeth donated his players pack, so congratulations to our winner there. It was announced on the site. It was announced on the Substack, the newsletter that we have, as well as the Facebook page, so I don't have that in front of me right now. But yes, Paul Macbeth donated his players pack. Paul Ulibarri donated his players pack. Chris Clemens and Jordan Castro both donated their players packs. Awesome. So, and to be totally upfront, Jordan and Chris Clemens, I had worked with them a couple weeks prior, so they did get some compensation for their players pack. But I will guarantee that the people who get these players packs are going to be very, very happy. And just think, the dude just won Paul Macbeth's players pack, and he won the USDGC, his 3rd USDGC. Amazing. So he's going to get something that he can kind of hold near and dear or flip for a lot of cash. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but whatever you're doing with it.
Well, and here's what I'll say about that. I saw that Terry Roethlisberger was offering up, I think, his player pack for sale or auction or doing something of that nature. Totally understandable. He's sponsored by Discraft, and you know there's some Innova product in there that wouldn't otherwise probably be a lot of good to him personally. And I was kind of chuckling, thinking, what would Terry maybe have gotten for his players pack the night he received it? We'll just say on Tuesday night. Versus what he received it or would get for it by the time it's up at the end of this week. After seeing him on the lead card, after seeing him perform as well as he did, to say someone's stock has gone up, I think that would probably. Now there's no way for us to tell, and whether he got $20 extra or $300 extra, I'm not sure. But I just in my head I was thinking, yeah, that's better timing after you've performed the way you did and had such a. A great weekend on the live coverage. So pretty cool to see.
So Paul Macbeth wins over Kyle Klein. Kyle, obviously, phenomenal 4th round to come back. Ricky Wysocki, again, bridesmaid, unfortunately, in 3rd place. Still can't get that elusive USDGC victory. Drew Gibson came out and roller coastered his way to a 4th place. That guy has more bogeys and birdies together than I think any other player. So congratulations to Drew Gibson. Nate Sexton coming off the couch, tying for 5th place with Joel Freeman and Chris Dickerson, our returning champion. 8th place, Isaac Robinson, and 9th place tied Matty O and Eagle McMahon. Eagle as well, not able to, unfortunately, get that major win here at USDGC that he was hoping for. Started out round 1, hole 1 with a triple bogey.
That's round 1?
Or I'm sorry, round 4, hole 1 with a triple bogey. And that's just unfortunate. That kind of knocked him out of a lot of contention right there.
Yeah, certainly any win that was in his sails very quickly diminished there to get his final round started. So, yeah, real quick, why don't you jump over to the throw pink side? Let's also quickly recap. Of course, talked to
our winner tonight,
Missy Gannon.
Second place, as we kind of briefly brought up, Kona Star Panis. So Kona she had a chance to make it really interesting at the end with that hole 18. She was just a little deep of the basket, probably 25 feet or 30. She was just inside the circle. Unfortunately, she could not get that for a birdie to kind of force Missy's hand a little bit more. Third place, she shows up at the end of every season, it feels like, at Sarah Hokum. These courses and events just really suit her game more than the early season that we see, where distance is much more useful, we'll say, at the first 5 or 6 events of the season. Tied with Sarah Hokum, Haley King. Tied with Haley King, Valerie Mandujano, who honestly was right in it, as we said, right up until 17, when unfortunately she threw into the water, and that kind of ended her chance. She went OB twice, I believe, didn't she?
Yeah.
And sixth place, Owen Scoggins. So Owen, she qualifies for some other divisions. So, but she is she's competing here, and she ended up taking 6th place. What a phenomenal finish by Owen. 7th place, Macy Veladiaz, formerly Macy Walker, for those of you that don't know. She took 7th place. 8th place, Jessica Weiss. 9th place, Stephanie Vincent. And 10th place, Paige Pierce.
Tying Madison Walker
and Deanne Carey. It's really kind of, we see a couple names up at the top that honestly I wouldn't normally expect to see at the throw pink. Like, I wouldn't have guessed Owen would have been 6th based on the course, but she is just so consistent with her drivers and putters. If it weren't for the 10 she took on the day 1, she'd have been right in it competing with everybody else. It was so, shout out to her for fighting back. Valerie Mandujano, she probably wasn't on a lot of people's leaderboards coming into this, and she's always been a solid player, but it's hard not to, look at your normal Hokum, Page, Cat, King, Gannon. Like, those are the 5, I think, right now that everybody's picking. So the fact that, we see Valerie hop up in there into 3rd place is great. And Macy Veladiaz, she's been quietly having a very good rookie season, would you say?
Yeah, and I don't think there will be any surprises moving forward with her.
No, not she's just come out now.
Yeah, and she's just so phenomenal, and she's proven that she can get it done, backhand and forehand. And right now, it's just going to be a matter of her continuing to get more and more comfortable while she's out there and learning the game, and maybe more so learning the courses and the tour life than even the game. There will be nothing that surprises me, and I think next year, when we're talking about someone who's a contender at any given event, or someone that's going to, sneak up and then take out an event, it's going to be Macy, and I'll be like, oh yeah, well, we saw that coming. Mm-hmm. Mark the tape.
Yep, mark the tape.
October 12th, 2021. Calling that. So very cool to see. I think what's the craziest thing about all of ultimately the finishing spots is that Missy Gannon finishes at 2 under, and then all the way down to 7th, where Macy is, she's just 5 strokes away from her. And I know this sounds all too obvious, John Madden-like, but 5 strokes over a 4-round tournament. I mean,
well, and we've seen in the past where people have really one of the big talking points about the FPO division is usually how the leader blows out the field. Like the stroke ratio from first to 10th is like 23 strokes normally, what we see on different courses. Like Paige will shoot, 6 or 7 under, Cat will be 6 or 7 under, and then you've got some people at like 1 or 2 under, and then from there it tends to have like another gap. Like we usually see them kind of in steps. The fields are getting tighter. Like just this top field, like you said, 5 strokes between first and 7th. And, it's not much different than the MPO field. So the FPO field is getting very exciting.
Well, great show put on by all of them, and looking forward to seeing what's going to go down this weekend. And I know we really harped on the 20,000 as we should have last year, to see Haley King and Kevin Jones take that down, and to know that the largest paycheck again for any event ever is about to be written on both MPO and FPO this upcoming weekend. Adds a whole nother level of pressure and excitement to it all, and history making, and I think one of the the biggest questions that looms or remains is, are we going to see the Paige Pierce that struggled over the last couple of months? And I think that is probably, you've got these other women that are performing, but you still have Paige and Kat, who maybe haven't dialed in the last couple of weekends, but are your most veteran, seasoned, winningest players at this event. And we all know Kat was right there until the very end as well last year, and she struggled on hole 17 on the green, or should I say on the rock, on hole 17 there, and where everything kind of slipped right through her fingers. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how these next few days are going to unfold. So with all of that, I think we're going to close out the regular show. We can have more disc golf conversations, discussions. I think there's been an announcement or two on the PDGA side. I know they're hiring yet again, more people, more things happening there. We can maybe dive a little bit more into what we're going to expect for this weekend, but super excited to see the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships move into this weekend. Saw a few minutes ago that earlier in the night, the Chainhawk Open had sold out in seconds. No big surprise. It was an honor to cover that event and be out there last year, and it looks like this year they're going to have a sizable, a very strong field as well. So there's a lot of other things going on, and looking forward to all of that. So we're going to close out, like I said, the regular show. In the after show, if you stay tuned or you click on that little button to download the next podcast and get the after show, you're going to hear us do some giveaways where we give away some free items.
Disc member box, baby.
That's always exciting to get some free stuff, or at least be eligible to win that if you support us in any capacity on Patreon. So thank you. And then, like I said, we may have disc golf or non-disc golf related topics and subjects to cover. Who knows where it'll go, but for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we got to thank our champion in Missy Gannon and all of the staff and crew over there at the Winthrop Coliseum and Arena this past week. Literally hundreds of people, all hands on deck to make that happen. So thank you to them. Also, thank you to Dylan Durrant over at Infinite Disc for giving us the inside scoop, or at least some of the initial basic details for what we're going to see from Disc Golf Con. That will be coming to us next February in Las Vegas. Stick around. We give you more action in the after show. We'll see you then. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast 372's After Show.
Oh.
We're here. Little after show action. Thank you, guys and gals, for joining us. Here we are, post USDGC, post Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championships, and pre Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
So,
most money will give out or will be given out in a 10-day span, or technically a 7-day span.
Yes.
Sunday to Sunday.
Well, yes.
However you want to count that.
The most money given out.
Yes. Insane.
Someone asks a question on the board. We got a couple things we need to talk about.
All right.
First and foremost, let's get it out of the way. It's the elephant in the room. Not you, Terry. Sorry.
Hey-o.
Hey-o.
No, I have not gotten sponsored by Backwoods Bastard or Founders yet. As frustrating as that is for all of us.
The pay-per-view.
I didn't pay anything.
Neither did I. I actually gave myself a free sub to it on the back end of the thing because I have an admin account to the whole setup because I need to do the streaming. But I noticed with my admin account, I didn't have access to the pay-per-view.
Correct.
On my TV. I could get to it from my computer, not a problem, but I wanted to watch from my TV. So I went into the back end and I was like, well, I'll give that guy a free one. So I gave myself a free access to it. So Jeff, I owe you $1. Which is what they charge for when you give one away. The back end charges you $1 per person. So I don't know what the process is, but anyway, the pay-per-view. 3.5 days of phenomenal coverage. Gorgeous camera work. Zero issues. The biggest day, the one day that you don't want any issues, well, we saw two relatively, one not so much and one relatively serious glitch in the matrix. The first one was around hole 2 or 3, I believe, and I wasn't in the studio. I didn't have anything to do with this event, particularly this weekend, prior obligations, and just Ian Lunger, who was doing the switching, he's worked with Fulcrum. He was doing a great job, and I honestly didn't feel like me stepping in on Friday afternoon or Saturday made any sense when he was already knocking out of the park. So, the first one we traced down to a local outage for Spectrum at the studio. There's like a 3 to 5 minute outage or something. So that knocked us offline, had to reboot some stuff to get us back online. Things like that happen. It's unfortunate. We're working on all sorts of different things to hope that doesn't happen in the future. The second one was a little bit more serious because it happened at hole 17 or something, 16. It's different for every person. For me, and it's hard for me to tell because the internet here at my house upstairs isn't great. So I didn't know if the whole thing went down or it was just my internet. Because for me, I watched Paul putt out on 16. They all started to walk to 17, and then it froze. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I stopped it, and I tried starting it, and I was like, oh, my internet, I can't tell if my TV internet is bad or my phone. It didn't come back for me until Paul was on 18. And then it dropped again when after Paul putted on 18. And it came back up for me right when Paul was about to drive on 1. So I didn't even see I didn't see Kyle Klein's drive. And they're still working on it. They're contacting all of the different points of failure, the Disc Golf Pro Tour. If you had issues, I believe the statement says email the DGPT and talk to them. There are some people that it dropped for a few seconds and it was back. Like someone had said it didn't drop at all on 17 for me.
Correct.
It dropped for a couple seconds after Paul putted on 18, and then it was up, and I saw Philo and Ian. I think that people maybe that were on the apps it's hard to say, because I've heard people say on the computer that it dropped for a while and they couldn't get it back. Some of the apps, I think, take a little longer to reconnect. So maybe that was it. I don't know, honestly. And I know that the DGPT is doing everything they can to look into what happened and the failure points and what they can do to fix it. And so this doesn't happen again in the future, whether it's pay-per-view or not.
Yeah.
And I know that Jeff made an announcement about Vimeo and how their DDoS, their DDoS denial of service thing kicked in. And maybe that was because everybody was refreshing at once. Maybe that was just something that hit. Again, I haven't talked to anybody, so I'm just literally kind of giving a little bit of speculation. But ultimately, that's a failure that can't happen, and we all know it. Whether you're the Disc Golf Pro Tour, whether you're Jeff Spring, Todd Rainwater, all of us understand the consequences and the severity of it. And all I can say is that from everything I've heard, the Pro Tour is looking into every single aspect of this failure. So
yeah, and to follow that up and just to kind of echo what you're saying, Matthew, who for instance is on the board, says, I was on a computer. It dropped at the end of 18. Reloaded the page and it worked. Missed no throws, all good.
Yeah.
And I'm reading literally off the board right now. Now clearly that wasn't the case for every single individual. That is obviously well known. But there were I hate to even put a qualifier on it or quantifier on it. And I don't know if the number's majority, minority, thousands, hundreds, tens. I don't know what the case was one way or another. I personally don't have any of that information as to how many it is, but there are, I know some people have said, no, everyone's went out. That clearly was not the case.
Well, I think everybody's feed dropped for a second or two.
Sure.
It's just how quickly did your connection come back? And for a lot of people, and a big portion of them, from what I've seen, it came back right away. But there was a significant portion where it didn't. So, and like I said, email the DGPT about that. Talk to them.
Yeah, an email as if you had paid for the coverage, you should have seen at least one, maybe even more than one. I didn't pay the coverage, so I don't know for a fact, but I believe there was at least one or maybe two communications. Excuse me, sorry, that have been sent out by the Disc Golf Network. And just make sure you follow anything that was sent to you. Follow any prompts, or I think at one point they were taking a survey of sorts to double check what the numbers look like and what everyone's experience was different. And then how it gets handled from there, I think is also still very much a work in progress. So that's what we can tell you. That's what we can relay. We need to make it clear too that we obviously don't have all the answers. If we had more answers, we'd be sharing them with you. If this were 5 years ago, and this is again out of just I'll say a shred of, I don't know if transparency is the word, but if it were 5 years ago when we were a much smaller operation,
when it's just the two of us,
when it was more or less just two of us. Can make it if we try, just the two of us. Anyway,
it's not a Smashbox. Say something.
Then we would probably have more of the answers ourselves because we would have been, the buck would have stopped with us. And that's not to say we're passing any buck. We're just saying like they're working on it, and now this thing is so many layers deep of understanding and of the various partners that are involved. I mean, large in part, when we did so many other things, it was us and maybe one more entity, and then there was YouTube. And that was the extent of it. Now there's more layers, more things, more people involved, and everyone's trying to get to the bottom of anything that happened. We can say with certainty though, this I was explaining this to someone else today. Somebody in the control room didn't get lazy and the pizza sauce out of their sub, fell and landed on a keyboard or on a server. Somebody didn't get up and clothesline and get clotheslined by an extension cord that unplugged things. I mean, there was nothing of that
simple
erroneous, simplicity that unfolded. That's why maybe this is even more frustrating is because it was something that was something on the back end that was not controlled by us as a network entity. So we understand. I'll say it again. I understand the frustrations. Some people were very lukewarm or just flat out frustrated and upset about the concept of pay-per-view in the first place. We get all of that. We've heard it all endlessly throughout the last few years. But yeah, I can understand some of the frustrations that have come about. Now, did anyone die? Is there still disc golf tomorrow? Was there still a champion crown? Yes. I mean, if you think about the big picture, we all have lived, and hopefully we can continue to move forward. It was very unfortunate and very frustrating, I'm sure. But now we can just look forward to moving on in the right direction, and hopes that everything only gets better and continues to improve. So yeah, we understand that. We understand that frustration's out there, though.
All I can say is thank goodness it didn't happen when Hannah E. Macbeth was doing commentary.
Oh my gosh, the golden tongue of Hannah Macbeth.
I mean, Hannah, who's out on our chat board right now.
Oh, is she? I didn't even know.
Yeah, she is. Terry.
What a shining star! I didn't even think about talking about her.
To not allow our viewers to listen to Hannah and Juliana would be a failure on epic proportion.
Yeah.
None bigger.
Yeah.
In all honesty, they did. Hannah and Juliana did phenomenal. I truly enjoyed their commentary. It was really good.
Good. I didn't listen.
I didn't love.
I was doing interviews.
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people really liked it. I didn't love the booth setup, like how it looked.
Oh, really? Everybody else loved it.
You know why?
Because you're an idiot?
No, well, maybe, but it looks, honestly, no different than, I feel like, a green screen. Like, to have them perfectly clear and everything behind them blurry, I don't like that. I would rather see a deeper depth of field on that. And I know I'm in the minority here because a lot of people are like, and it looked crystal clear. It was, I mean, I could see every gray hair of Hannah's. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing Hannah. I don't think the gray hairs came until later that in the fourth round when she was walking with Paul. Stone-faced again, Hannah. I love it every time. You got it. You nailed it. But the studio looked cool. I just don't love that shallow depth of field look personally. Like, not for this particular thing. And I know you have a...
Yeah, so here's something funny to go along those lines. There is, with that rock and chimney behind it, there's a couple of pictures on the board. You see Double G from many years ago at the distance competition. And then one of the pictures you see... what is that, Steve Brinster? Yeah, Steve Brinster. Barry Schultz with some VIP stuff in there and whatnot. And then, I don't know if I showed you this, one of the pictures that was in the top corner, which is why you're complaining, I'm sure.
It has you in it.
It has me along with, I think, Kyle, Paul Macbeth, John Tompkins, Simon Lizotte, and Avery Jenkins, as we're all standing on what I believe was the first year of the tee of 18. That was the first year that deck was in fact installed on 18. So that was a picture, and I didn't even know that. It wasn't until near the end of the weekend. I'm like, oh wait, that's a picture from probably 7 or 8 years ago. Yep. That's actually displayed up there, which was pretty cool.
I just think that, like, if you watch any other sports broadcast, that studio is always in focus. You can always see crystal clear what's going on behind them, and sometimes they have green screens, whatever. I just feel like it didn't highlight the really cool environment that they were in. It was just like two perfectly clear people and then blurry behind it. So either way,
Johnny explains his preference as we're sitting in his basement with a sheet up behind us.
But hey, you can read Smashbox behind us. I could make that blurry. I could create the depth of field if you want with our camera. Actually, I don't know if I even could with this camera. But
don't try and get all fancy on any of this. We know better.
Anyway, maybe.
All right.
But that's just my opinion.
All right.
The next question that we got off the board It was up there a little earlier. Terry, let's say Infinite Disc calls you.
Yeah.
And says, Terry, we want you to run a clinic. What kind of clinic? Not a disc golf clinic. We got enough of them. What are you going to teach people? What is your strong suit? We need you to sit down at a table or an outdoor environment. We got 8 people.
And this could be athletic or otherwise.
Could be anything. Literally. I mean, James Conrad
are you saying what's my value? And do I excel or provide value in any regard? That's what you're asking me.
What can you teach people? What do you think you'd be like? I think I'm qualified enough at this.
I would go ahead and I think this is a fair statement. I shouldn't get roasted for this. I am qualified to teach at least the basics of disc golf filming.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Of post-production and or live. I could give you the basics in terms of 1 or 2 camera, maybe even 3 camera, but 1 or 2 camera coverage. Some absolute must-do things that I feel like you must do, some things I feel like you absolutely must not do. I could give you 101 editing tips. I'm not going to create fancy world-class Jomez graphics. Of course not. In fact, only I think 1 or 2 people over there know how to do that. Very qualified, very specific people because it is such a highly skill set. I could give you disc golf coverage 101 and maybe the 102 class. I don't know, maybe even a 200 level class.
You could do 200 level.
Sure. So I could do that. I mean, if you said, hey, start somewhere, that's one thing I could do.
Okay.
Would I feel qualified to give an interview class? No, probably not. I mean, I feel like I enjoy it and I can do it, but I don't know that I'm at a position where I would want to be teaching anyone else anything I do there.
No.
I mean, there's journalism classes you should be taking.
Yeah.
I just learn stuff by myself, right or wrong, and I just do it.
Correct. And I've said this to you privately. I've said this to you publicly. I think that you are the best interviewer in our game, and also one of the least prepared interviewers. But you are the greatest.
Nailed it.
You are one of the greatest that you can go to a conversation with. We'll just say James Conrad. You walk up to James Conrad. Someone's like, hey, interview James Conrad. You didn't see his round. And you're like, cool. You look at some scores, like, all right, James. And you could go on for 5 minutes and you touch on the scores. You touch on like what he had for dinner last night. And you make it flow so smoothly. I don't understand how you do it, but yes, you are one of the best unprepped interviewers in the game.
I will take that. Unprepped, for sure. Yeah, and to be fair, I think I received a couple of really gracious compliments from Jim Oates this last weekend, who I had a pleasure of. He was also a big help doing what I was doing, and he was. In a similar sense, I guess he was saying, that he likes how comfortable people seem to feel with me when they're doing interviews and such, as I was just grabbing people off the course right after they're done, regardless of their play sometimes. And that's where I just said, well, for me, that's where my payoff has started with. I've been watching and touring and filming and or way back in the day playing against these people for 20 some years. Mm-hmm. And so that is the one thing that I feel like I might have a little bit more of a deeper bank to dig into or to pull from is that, I was there when Eric McCabe won his 2010 Worlds.
Me too.
And I was filming when Sarah Stanhope tapped in for her 2010 Worlds. And then I remember the stories that were talked about around the putting competition from the 2010 and 13 Worlds at Indiana, as to Jay Redding running out and being in a round, but yet we were supposed to have the semifinals, and Chris Herron had this funny playoff with Josh Anthon, and meanwhile, those are all things that I've gotten from simply physically almost always being there, and that to me is maybe one huge advantage that I have of experience to pull from with a lot of these people. So, yeah. Is there any other class? I don't think hoarding discs is necessarily.
It's not a class.
I mean that's hardly a hardly a skill. The biggest skill is just not to get tempted to sell the stuff. Sometimes. I feel like I could, and I'm no infinite discs, and I'm not shipping out probably thousands of discs a day. I could give you basics to online selling, that's not necessarily like, oh, here, go set up a website and do it on an Etsy store. Basics to online selling and lots of tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years, which is why I've made my own disc in a box. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but my disc in a box, no. But yeah, even that honestly is the reason that box came about, is because of some intricacies that I learned with shipping and selling discs, and finding out that was a huge asset to have. So I'd be qualified to teach that, and maybe some tips and tricks in those regards.
I could definitely see that.
Because there's nothing that frustrates me more than watching someone else ship a disc or ship equipment inefficiently, and just knowing like they're just flushing money away because they didn't take a few basic steps to do it. So I guess that.
All right.
Oh, and then never hitting and never busting in blackjack. That's another one of my specialties.
Yeah, Terry doesn't.
I don't like to bust.
Terry almost refuses to bust. Even he could have.
I stay on 11 even. No,
14 or 15. Dealer has a 7 10. Showing or a 10 showing. Terry's staying
more often than not, and I know it's not by the book.
Pissing a lot of the other players at the table off, but
so that would be the other thing that I could do.
I think I could teach a basic podcasting class, setting up, and of course, I think just broadcasting, like a vMix broadcasting, like the real simple. I've already run through it with at least 2 or 3 different golfers. Tyler Brickley and
Scott Stokely. At one point,
at one point, just teaching them how to use and do live broadcasting on the internet and recording and all that stuff. I think I could teach the class. And the other thing I was thinking, I could teach a cribbage class. I love me some cribbage. And
then have me whoop you.
Lucky sometimes. Overall, I'll beat you more than not.
Okay, we'll see.
So anyway,
all right.
Someone said Excel. I could teach an Excel class too if you want to learn spreadsheets. But
yeah,
I get to about level. I can do like a 2.0, like Terry was saying, a 201 Excel class, and then at that point, it's more like just Google it. I could teach you how to Google. I'm really good at Google.
That you are good at. All right, we're a part of the after show. In case you're new here, is we love to dip into the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. Usually, I'm watching the YouTube ones, and I can directly interact from there. Somebody said that they don't, that I ask tough questions and don't give an F.
You do give an F, but
I do, and again, and I won't go too far into it, but there's always this fine line about tough questions or not. I think I'm just getting a little bit more direct, and I think a lot of our players are also realizing, like, hey, I'm there to ask a question, like, what was up with your putting today? And I'm personally getting more okay with the idea of like, hey, I'm not attacking you personally, and I may or may not like you, but yeah, what was wrong with your putting today? Look like, you were, you missed everything inside the circle.
No, the last press conference you ran, there was a running joke in the chat that you were just like bringing up
leading with negativity,
bringing up everybody's failures this year. Like, so Ricky, you ain't never won this one, and this and that, and you talk about that, like, oh, so even some of the players that are like, hey, Kyle Klein, what happened that playoff that you lost? And you're like, son of a, like, I'm not talking USDGC, I'm talking the last one, there was a few times that we were all kind of joking that you were leading the questioning, and they were good questions, but it was always about like what had happened earlier in the season, and it was almost always their failures.
Well,
why were you failing?
And to be fair, the only instruction I've received about running press conferences this year was don't treat them like podcast questions and ask about the here and now. And so to me, a lot of those times I was thinking about, hey, you did this wrong earlier. What have you done to fix or adjust it? Or are you thinking about that? Or what are you doing to correct it? That was my line of thought. And we've all said it. An entire season of press conference questions when I'm largely or mainly the person asking the questions to a lot of the same repeat players does get very challenging. And even our good smashy friend Ryan Pilcher said around World's time, it's like, yeah, I feel like they're just getting, these press conferences are getting a little stale and repetitive.
That's what press
And then I said, all right,
do.
give me some of your questions. And then he was totally stumped and didn't have a lot because they're not easy.
No, it's not. And I think every athlete goes through that same thing.
Oh, sure, which is why there's so many jokes about, press conferences, and they get kind of annoyed as well.
Yep, you just see them over and over and over. Whenever a player does poorly, it's the same question.
Scout says, maybe I could run a clinic on picking up strangers in the middle of the night from the bus stop. I need to get more successful at that. I haven't quite locked that in, so I'm not sure I'm qualified for that. But the sentiment is there. Dis Daddy quotes one of my favorite quotes from earlier in the year back at the National Tour opener. Got that one. It's funny. I found a clip on my desktop the other day. I was trying to get it cleaned up. I was like, what is this clip? It was a clip that I had saved of some other commentary member on our team. I'll keep him nameless for now. And he clearly mispronounced disc and said something else. And he very quickly corrected himself and then moved on. There was no blow up when he did it. None at all. There was zero backlash, I think, that day, or any mention of it whatsoever. And I have now played it at least a dozen times. And he knows he said it, and he quickly corrects it, but it was just as clear as mine, just with different phrasing.
I'll say this. There was no blowback with yours. There was just a lot of memes. There was a lot of attention.
Which is fine, too. All right.
Blowback being the
operative word. A lot afraid. Okay. Most famous quote. Does feel like I'll never forget. Yes, I'm glad you guys like that from way back. Good morning from Oslo, Thomas. Good to see you, or hear from you, I should say. Thank you so much. Hannah says public speaking. Hannah, thank you. She was very complimentary. Hannah chimed in Sunday night, maybe, and said that she had particularly enjoyed or liked my nightly recaps. Or a recap. I don't think she watched all.
I watched
every day
the first one. I watched a few minutes of the second one.
And then you came back so hard for 3 and 4.
No, I didn't. Those were on weekends, and I was actually busy.
I will quickly segue to that. If you couldn't tell, I enjoy doing them. There's room to grow and improve on them, certainly. I will admit, I enjoy doing them when I don't think internet's going to be a problem. And at this particular hotel, the internet was amazing. It was the best internet you could have asked for. Should have, never mind. Great internet. And they're certainly not overproduced. There's not a lot to them in that I largely look at UDisc, make a few observations, steal a few other people's thoughts. Dixon Jowers and his group had a lot of really good thoughts and insights from the weekend. I do have some other ideas of how I honestly do think I could improve it and some things that I might actually implement, but they're also somewhat they're very free-flowing in that I don't have an obligation to get to do them, and for that reason I love it. I may go to Bend this weekend, and next thing you know, it's too late on the West Coast, or what, too late, I guess I'll use in air quotes. It's late on the West Coast, and most of the countries in bed are not interested, and I have to be up early the next morning, so you're less likely to find one to happen there. And I will also say I enjoy doing them so much more obviously when I'm at an event, when I got to speak to that many more people, when I saw some action or some of this stuff unfolding, and it could be off the course or on the course, but that's where I like to draw from it a little bit better, and I feel like my recaps can be more insightful and solid when they follow up that. Like this last week, we had visited the tournament had the over at Slow Play, which was a brewery right next to my hotel. They had other stuff going on, and right there, that was a built-in conversation piece right off the bat. So I do want to thank everyone, and yes, I am still looking for founders to potentially sponsor me and some of the work that I'm doing.
Let's give something away, Terry. Let's give away a disc member box.
Oh, I'm down.
You were not here last week, were you?
I was.
So we have 2 things to give away tonight.
Holy cow.
We do.
Daddy Disc Golf, you said, how did I miss these recaps? I listened to the Ultra World ones. I'm not going to say that some very prominent person said that they jumped off of Ultra Worlds and came to mine one night, but maybe they did.
Well, I'm going to say this. I started it.
I don't even know what they did.
Literally,
honestly.
at one point, I had both of them opening at once and listening to both of them at once,
That sounds terrible.
Which was a little difficult. But I had them both open. You had more viewers.
Oh,
I'm just saying, you did. I think they had like 10, including me.
I can't.
But I did chime in on theirs.
I will say, for what it's worth, when those are done, more often than not, those are going to be on the Disc Golf Guy channel. That's kind of me working and acting independently. I did manage to put up a disclaimer eventually every single night saying that those were all my own thoughts. I am not a Disc Golf Network employee or contractor at that point. I am not a Smashbox person at that point. I am.
Oh, you can say whatever you want at Smashbox. Honestly, I'm not going to fire you.
I'm exclusively operating with my own. I'm not representing the PDGA or the event. Some people were okay with me having some beverages. Some people weren't, and everything in between. I apologize if I had a burp that came as a result of that. I will draw the line there. I'm not a fan of that happening, but yes. So those are on the Disc Golf Guy channel, and those could range anywhere from 1 to 4 hours depending on how the night goes.
Hey, I just want to be sitting in the back with a drink and just yelling things once in a while.
That would make for a good show. You're just like, talk about this.
Like a living chat board.
Yes. That's what we need. That's definitely...
Hey, we can make that happen.
One thing I learned, because I got cut off abruptly on the first night, the internet...
Abruptly, probably after like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half in, and all of a sudden it just shut down, and I didn't know, and everything looked like it was still going and whatever. The internet needs you to reconnect after 24 hours at that hotel, which is quite common.
You had checked in or
something.
So
I knew every single night that I must be done by 12:21. Otherwise, it was going to kick me off. So the next 3 nights, that's exactly when the hotel internet was like, "Oh, hey, are you still there?" And it made me refresh my internet connection. So I learned. I learned me real good.
You learner.
That's why I teach classes. Okay,
you're one of them learners. All right. If you want to be eligible for our weekly giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/smashboxtv, and for only $1 a week, you are eligible to get into our entry fee, or get into our contest that has no entry fee other than your Patreon support. And it's for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee. You know, if you want to give us more money, we will take more money.
We will.
I'm not opposed. I will swallow my pride. I will take your $5. I'll take your $10. I'll take it all. If you want to give me more, $20, I'll take it. So you can donate it. You can give it to us. If you feel you get quality out of this broadcast, good for you. And
you need to reevaluate.
And on top of that, patreon.com/smashboxtv.
And if you feel like you're just getting a little quality, then think what your additional money could get you more quality.
Yes.
And speaking of super chats, Patrick Lowry just jumped in here
Pat.
with a super chat, so we appreciate that. And Ray said, I always super chat for you on your streams. We could crowdsource your travel expenses. Not going to lie, that would be incredibly flattering, and that would also probably lead me to more consistency with it. So I do appreciate the thought, Ray, and whether it's a super chat there or my Patreon, all of those actually go a really long way. So we appreciate it.
So we have 188 people eligible for this giveaway tonight. Terry, what number are we picking?
I like that was Missy Gannon's third win of the year. Second. I know she had a silver series. I know she had an elite series, and I know she had the throw pink women. She might have had more, but those are her three big wins. Let's go with the three.
All right, our third number. We're gonna go with 102 is not it. 148 is not it, but the next number is
How are they sorted, Johnny?
165. I just sorted them by first name, so we're gonna go down to 165. Oh, are not supposed to see that. Oops, sorry about that. 165. Shane Wyatt. That was an easy one to find because it was right here at the bottom. Shane Wyatt.
Booyah.
Booyah. So,
Thank you, Shane.
Sorry about those few of you. I think I just doxed a few people.
think they're good.
Awkward. I might actually have to go in and edit that.
So yes, and I was right. There was three. There were 3 wins on the year. The Des Moines Challenge, of course, was the Elite Series. The Stafford was the Silver Series, and the Throw Pink Women's. So congratulations. Nice work. All right, that was for one of the giveaways. We have another giveaway, you're saying?
Yeah, we do. Here, let me change the screen and try not to dox more people. That's the first time we've done that, so...
Not ever.
No?
No, you've done...
Yeah, well, it's been a while. All right, Terry, so what should this next number be? Just the very next one? Or
no, 3 more for Paul's third USDGC title.
3 more. All right,
if we're going to stick with a theme here.
Someone said that this is going to be Paul's last major, and I don't believe that. So.
Oh, right there with he's washed up.
No, he didn't say he was washed up. He said
he's washed up. Like it's
all right.
These people are dumb.
Not 97, not 86. It is 103. Let's take that off and then click over here. 103. Keith Vance. Congratulations, Keith Vance. Is he on the board right now?
Maybe not tonight.
I know he was
He
earlier.
usually sometimes is.
He's on. So
no, we got a different Keith. Keith Dravecki is out there. Thanks for joining us, Keith Dravecki. But no Keith Allen or Keith Vance tonight. Usually one or both sometimes are here.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Keith. So we got some stuff to give away. Yeah. I think, and I know if you're not listening to this now, it's too late, too little too late. But I know that tomorrow morning in the early goings, there will be a Kyle Klein special release that I know that, that Discmania is doing. So, of course...
Midnight Prowl or something like that?
Something like that. That sounded like a club I was going to go to. But anyway, that sounds like... Never mind. Yes, there's going to be a special release for Kyle Klein, and what an incredible year that kid has had. And I can still call him a kid because...
He's like 19.
Yeah, so he's a kid.
If you've gone to prom within the last year, we can call you a kid.
That's that. Yes, that is very fitting. So look for that to release. I think I gave a shout out already last week, but yeah, thank you, Mitty. I had a ton of fun at that event, and then upcoming weeks. Week after the Pro Tour Championships, I think we're the Beach Bash. That's going to be a thing. I've committed to going down there. Really looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. Weekend after that, we've got the NADGT finale taking place down in Texas. Looking forward. I think we're going to have the last 2 days of footage or of coverage for that. It's going to be live. So that's happening. The weekend after that, we've got a wedding for Gary to the O.
Correct.
Weekend after that, the Phoenix Ladies Open. Weekend after that, something else. So, yeah, there is... somebody said to me today, so, yeah, like golf season's totally winding down. I mean, Pro Tour events are... national tour events are.
I'll be taking it much more slowly.
You certainly will be. That just means that I will likely be shifting gears to some other events. And I mentioned it earlier, the Chainhawk Open, the 10th annual. Looking forward to working with those guys, hopefully to have a presence down at that event in December. So Tallahassee has some stuff going on. Already looking ahead into Maricopa for next year. There's a lot of stuff already in the works. So looking forward to all of it. You got anything else here, Johnny?
I don't think I do.
I feel like there's other stuff that we're probably glossing over. We'll remember after we get done, as usual.
No.
This weekend, just as a quick clarifier, the men's broadcast will be taking place at 2:30 Eastern. That's 11:30 Pacific. That will happen every day. So 2:30 Eastern, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I want to say at 9:30 Eastern is when the... No, correction. Might be... whatever. Double check. Maybe it's 10:30 even Eastern that the women will be going off. And that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because they have the one last round of golf. So very cool. Looking forward to that this upcoming weekend. Myself, Nate Sexton, Nate Doss will be in the booth, all three of us for the men's side, and then on the women's side, myself and Valerie Jenkins. And I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody. There is some form of tie to ESPN for this weekend's show as well. I don't know the specifics. I don't know when or where. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know any of that.
I think Stuart Scott is playing.
I just know, ouch, too soon.
Why?
Because he passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Too soon, Johnny, too soon. But I do know that there is some tie to ESPN.
I truly did. He was the first ESPN person.
I mean, it's not like we were friends with him or we're personally offended.
It's been a few years, so.
Yeah. But yeah, too soon. So, and quick, I'm going to backtrack.
Yeah.
They provided us a little earlier with the one disc, one tip segment. I think we could have another one even next week again. But I think Felix, Conrad, I think we're doing some work out there this weekend. So big shout out to them. Maybe they both won. I think that's what happened. I know at least one of them won. We're going to just assume they both won. So congratulations to the Ace Run production guys out there getting it done from the other side of the camera. And the fact that you were able to put the camera down and enjoy some golf is very exciting. So a big shout out to you guys for doing such.
I'm hoping to enjoy probably the 2 weeks after Halloween, where golf will be actually pleasurable here in Wisconsin for me before it starts to snow again, probably in mid to late November.
Not too far around the corner for us here. We're gonna have to make a night of it. If you're in town on the 29th, is that the date? The 30th. We may have to make a night of it. That's the weekend of the amateur tour finale, the 30th and 31st. However, I think a few friends might be in town playing in the local tournament. When we're done broadcasting, I think we're going to have to go out to the Howler and check in. I think Held and Schwieger are playing together. I was asked if I would give up my partner, and I said I'm working. So look, a couple of our buddies may be playing an event that we may have to go. We may have to go live under the lights and bring. They keep that thing lit up.
Go old school, like just me carrying a camera and or a gimbal or something, and you just talking.
Oh yes. There might be some really bonus coverage of this unsanctioned tournament that's in the dark.
Maybe it's in the dark. It depends how you play.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have this debate here, and we're not going to we'll table it for another day. Maybe. I brought it up in one of my shows this weekend. Was real quick, just yes or no. If someone gets an ace in a playoff, if Paul McBeth aces, as I'm looking at the clip, Paul McBeth aces the 73rd hole at the USDGC. Let's just assume it's a typical tournament and there's an ace pool. Let's just pretend and say no one else got an ace. Does he get the ace pool in the playoff? So the real generic version of this is,
I say no.
Does someone get ace pool money, either a cut of it or all of it, depending on how many were hit? Do you get a cut of the ace pool well in a playoff situation? And your gut take is?
My gut take is no.
You would be right, per what I think.
For what Terry thinks. Okay, good.
There's no official rules. We can argue and debate it on another day, another night. I personally do not feel that's fair. I feel like extra. Someone says, well, they earned it. Well, no, they should have just earned their outright win is what they should have earned.
They should have aced one hole earlier to win.
And let's just say some other division shot 400 strokes to be tied at the end of the weekend, and I shot 200 strokes, but you're going into a playoff, so you should get. You earned another right to get another hole in one. Like, that seems backwards to me too. So, all right, you guys can argue about it. I talked about it at length the other night, but you're wrong unless you say
unless you agree with us. Unless you agree with us, you're wrong.
But you can have that debate among yourselves. But I'm going to say it shouldn't count. We're going to close it out. We got to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Have to, of course, thank Dylan Durrant over at Infinite for all the inside scoop, a lot of the basics, and a few details with regard to the Disc Golf Con. So super excited to bring you guys some of that exclusive info. And then thank you, of course, to our champion in Missy Gannon. Looking forward to the Pro Tour weekend. So much more action coming at you. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.